Chapter 208. Everyone returned back to Leisure Bar, and Qin Yutong and Yizizi began a new round of game. Dong Huangli had long fallen asleep in Yihua's embrace. She is just a child, after all. After eating and drinking to her heart's content, she would still need to sleep. As for the Green and Red brothers, they were temporarily acting as the security of Leisure Bar. However, right now, the Green and Red brothers were a little excited. Within the bedroom, Yihua placed Dong Huangli onto his bed, then lightly covered her with a blanket. How can this little guy be so adorable? Qinya sat on the sofa at the side and looked at her husband's gentle movements. I bought a doll and hugged it to sleep, and he even said that other than me, no other things can appear on the bed. This seems to be what he said before they went to Sanya. And now, Li was added into the mix. Although I don't suggest it, Yihua's strange actions made me very worried. Yihua, come over here, I have something to talk to you about. Qinya couldn't bear it anymore. I have to get to the bottom of this matter. Yihua shushed Qinya, then signaled Qinya to lower her voice and not disturb the child's sleep. Slowly getting up, Yihua walked over to Qinya's side. Stretching out his hand, Yihua hugged onto Qinya's slender waist and directly kissed onto Qinya's waist. It has been a few hours since I last kissed her, I really miss her. However, this time, Yihua didn't succeed and kissed Qinya's palm. What's wrong? Yihua asked puzzledly. Pouting her lips, Qinya said softly, after you came back today, you have been very abnormal. Yihua was startled. Was my behavior that obvious? How is it abnormal? A trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth, and his hand quietly slipped into Qinya's clothes. Qinya grabbed onto the hand that was doing evil. Stop messing around. I'm being serious here. Be serious. Yihua let out a light sigh. Alright, what do you want to ask? Are you hiding something from me? Qinya stared fixedly at Yihua, not having the intention to joke around. Yihua was also looking at Qinya. Should I tell her right now? Or should he wait for a period of time and let her get along with Ali? How could that be? Yihua said, then pulled Qinya into his embrace. Qinya did not struggle as she hugged onto Yihua and said in a low voice, Yihua, I like you, but don't lie to me, okay? Yihua's heart thumped. If Ali's mother had a brain, she would definitely come looking for him. It was only a matter of time before the two of them met. Only God knew what kind of situation it would cause. He did like surprises, but he didn't like this kind of surprise. But he had already said it. How could he deny it? Slapping my own face, now, he could only brace himself and go forward. Yes. When the first lie was told, there would be even more lies to cover up that lie, and in the end, everything would be a lie. This was the human nature that Yihua had experienced. Qinya suddenly hugged onto Yihua, pushed him onto the sofa, and kissed him ferociously. I, the Supreme Overlord, am becoming more and more fond of this woman. In order to prevent her from feeling sad, I actually lied to her. Uncle, Auntie, are you thirsty? Ali will get you some water. Unknowingly, Dong Huangli was already standing beside the two of them, and her eyes were wide open. The uncle and the auntie were actually sucking on each other as if they were very hungry. Moreover, the uncle's hands were under the auntie's clothes. The auntie must be feeling a little itchy and the uncle was helping her to stop the itch. The two of them turned their heads around and looked towards Dong Huangli, then immediately separated from each other. In front of a child, it was best to pay attention to one's image. Ali, why aren't you sleeping anymore? Qinya's mood was very good as she asked while hugging onto Dong Huangli. Dong Huangli rubbed her big eyes and yawned. Ali woke up when I heard the smacking sounds. Smacking sounds? Qinya pinched onto Yihua petulantly. It's all your fault. Women are just so unreasonable. You are obviously the one who pushed me down and touched me all over my body. Ali, what does Ali want to eat tonight? Qinya immediately changed the topic. When a child hears about food, they would be more excited than anything else. I don't know, Qinya said. Ali, do you want to eat crayfish? Crayfish are very delicious. Really? Of course, Uncle likes to eat crayfish too, whatever Uncle likes. Ollie likes to eat too. Dong Huang Li's smile was about to blossom. Although this place is much smaller than my mother's place, everyone here is very concerned about me. Yi Hua immediately stood up. All right. Let's eat crayfish tonight. Ollie likes crayfish. Qinya laughed helplessly. I feel that my suggestion just now was just asking for trouble. At Voidless Realm that was a few thousand miles away. Dong Huang Baiji was sitting on the throne in the palace, and 8 elders were standing respectfully below her. How many days has it been? Where is he? Dong Huang Baiji shouted out coldly, and an austere aura immediately erupted out. Xing Han took a step forward. Your Majesty, His Highness has the protection of the Dong Huang family, he will definitely be fine. Your Majesty, please calm down. The search area is gradually expanding, and we will definitely be able to find His Highness and bring him back safely. Yuan De no longer dared to recklessly give the Empress any ideas. The warning that he gave the Empress last time was very clear. Dong Huang Baiji's heart was burning with anxiety. These few days, she couldn't sleep at all. Whenever she closed her eyes, she would be able to hear Ali's laughter. I will give you all 3 more days, if you all still can't find him. You all can do as you see fit. Your Majesty. Subordinate still has one more thing to report. He Xian walked out and said gravely. Dong Huang Baiji waved her hand impatiently. Speak. Ing family sent over a message. They want us to give them an explanation, otherwise. Dong Huang Baiji's beautiful eyes turned cold. Or else what? Otherwise, I will not rest until I die. All right. Let's see how the Ying family will fight to the death. The ominous glint in Dong Huang Baiji's eyes became more and more intense. Her face was filled with frost, and a terrifying aura swept out from her. Yes. The 8 elders knelt and obeyed. Dong Huang Baiji disappeared from the throne and arrived at Dong Huang Li's courtyard. Right now, Ali's joyful voice could no longer be heard from Dong Huang Baiji's courtyard, and Dong Huang Baiji couldn't even see Ali happily running out from the courtyard, hugging onto Dong Huang Baiji and acting coquettishly towards Dong Huang Baiji. Sitting in the courtyard's pavilion, Dong Huang Baiji was quietly pondering. The people outside are all sinister, and Ali is still so young. Although Ali had learned some defensive techniques, he would still be in danger. If I get caught and sold by the human traffickers, wouldn't that mean? Thinking up to here, Dong Huang Baiji was filled with regret. Dong Huang Baiji clenched her fists tightly. If Ali had suffered any grievances outside, I will definitely exterminate his entire family. Dong Huang Baiji also knew that it would be very difficult to find Ali. After all, the world was so big, and finding a person was like finding a needle in a haystack. It was all his fault. If she hadn't heard the news about him, she wouldn't have been so abnormal. It's fine if he injured me, but now, even my child is missing. This bastard, this bastard. Dong Huang Baiji fiercely smashed onto the stone table, and the entire stone table turned into dust. Dong Huang Baiji had treated the stone table as Yi Hua, and she really wanted to smack the stone table to death. Suddenly. Chapter 209. No matter if I am going to look for him or not, I have to go and take a look, and teach that stinky man a lesson. Thinking up to here, Dong Huang Baiji returned to her bedroom, changed into a white dress, then disappeared from Voidless Realm. Dong Huang Baiji didn't tell anyone that she was going out. After all, she was going to look for a heartless person. What's the point of teaching him a lesson? If he kneels down and admits that he was blind back then, for Ali's sake, she can bring him back to Voidless Realm to take care of him. After all, Ali needs a father's love, and sometimes, Ali would call for her father even in her dreams. Yi Hua, who was in Leisure Bar, probably didn't expect that Dong Huang Baiji had already come to look for him. I thought that it would take a while. Dark clouds gradually drifted over from the sky of Long and City, covering the entire city. Seems like a storm is coming. Seeing such weather, the people on the streets hurriedly went home to avoid being drenched by the rain. Meanwhile, on the second floor of Leisure Bar, everyone was currently enjoying the delicacy brought by the crayfish. Yihua, eat the crayfish. Uncle, eat the crayfish. Brother-in-law, eat the crayfish. Big brother, eat the crayfish. Yihua was like a master as he enjoyed this special treatment. As expected, my child doesn't need to be taught. He took the initiative to peel the crayfish for me, so sensible. Seeing that everyone was peeling the crayfish for Yihua, Ali also began peeling the crayfish for Yihua. She wasn't very fast to begin with, peeling a crayfish would take at least 2 to 3 minutes. Even so, she still persisted. This little fellow is more sensible than other children. If only my child was half as sensible as Ali, that would be great. Alright, Ali, you can eat by yourself, and can peel the crayfish for Uncle. Qinya smiled tenderly. When Dong Wangli was peeling the crayfish, she said seriously, no, Uncle is good to Ali. Ali has to be good to Uncle too. Qing Yutong said with a smile, Ali is so obedient. Hee, of course. Dong Wangli was very proud as she placed the crayfish in Yihua's bowl. Although only a little bit of the crayfish was left, Yihua was still very touched. My daughter peeled the crayfish. Seeing that my child was so sensible, Yihua was also very gratified. However, he still had to say, Ali, in the future, you can only peel the crayfish for Uncle, you cannot peel the crayfish for other people. Li will listen to Uncle. Right now, Dong Wangli was completely obedient. Qinya glared at Yihua, Ali, in the future, you have to peel prawns for your husband too, just like Aunt. Is that so? Dong Wangli Tian asked. Yihua's expression immediately sunk, even if someone is going to peel it, it should be a man who peels it for Ali. Qinya was unconvinced, and said tenderly, then why don't you peel the prawns for me? Qing Yutong and Yizizi secretly laughed. Can the two of you stop joking around, we are still eating. I am me, others are others. Ali, do you know? Yihua didn't care so much, how could my daughter possibly serve other people? Dong Wangli nodded her head in a daze, Li understands. You're teaching bad things to children. Aunt Qing, I feel that what Uncle Yi said is reasonable. Dong Wangli said sincerely. Dong Wangli had a very mature look on her face, causing everyone to burst into laughter. Yi Zizi felt helpless. In the past, she was the one who made everyone happy. Now that it was Ali, she could finally relax. Dong Wangli could be seen holding onto a large cup of cola and taking a sip. Burp! Everyone burst into laughter once again. Ali's cuteness was already unstoppable. And when little Ali saw that everyone was so happy, she was also very happy. Little Ali didn't know that her mother had already appeared at the entrance of the alley. When Dong Wangbaiji appeared on the street, she immediately attracted everyone's attention. This woman was wearing a white long skirt, her eyes were like autumn water, her eyebrows were like light moons, and her appearance was like a painting. However, that arrogant expression of hers was like an unreachable empress, causing people to be afraid of her and not dare to have any fantasies about her. No matter if it was a man or a woman, old or young, everyone was staring at Dong Wangbaiji, who was standing still. Bang! A rear-end collision occurred on the street. The two drivers immediately opened the door and got off the car. They did not quarrel with each other, instead, they looked at the woman who was wearing a white robe. She seemed to be sad. Seemed to be confused. Seemed to be afraid. Seemed to be angry. That was indeed the case. Dong Huangbaiji's mood was very complicated. It has already been 3 years. This city has changed a lot, but this alley is still the same as 3 years ago. Back then, when I was pregnant with Ali, I went in and out of this alley for half a month, yet, he did not appear at all. The irony is that he actually got married and had a child. This is equivalent to slapping my face in front of everyone. Today, I must get justice for myself, and I must also get someone to speak up for me. Stepping into the alley, there was not the slightest bit of change. Every single brick and every single piece of wood was so familiar, as if I had just come here yesterday. Dong Wang Baiji stretched out her slender fingers and touched onto the wall. Feeling the roughness of the wall, she raised her head and looked towards the familiar second floor. 3 years ago, I had also raised my head countless times from this position, hoping to see him calling out to me. However, it was all my own delusion. And right now, there was not the slightest bit of change on the second floor. It was the same as before, the lights were still on. Boom! Boom! Thunder roared in the sky. As if feeling the resentment in Dong Huang Baiji's heart, the rainstorm instantly poured down. Dong Huang Baiji slowly walked towards Leisure Bar. Every single step she took was very difficult for her, because she was facing the truth that she did not dare to face in the past. The violent rainwater split apart above Dong Huang Baiji's head and was blocked by an invisible force. Walking to the entrance of Leisure Bar, Dong Huang Baiji slowly turned around and raised her head to look at the signboard. This kind of feeling was as if she had returned to that day, returned to those few days and nights. Today, I will put an end to this resentment. Yi Hua. Today, you must give me an explanation. Pushing open the heavy wooden door, Dong Huang Baiji walked into the bar. The inside of the bar was still the same as before, just that there were a few more paintings. Compared to the past, the business of the bar was a lot more bleak. Dong Huang Baiji sat on the same position as before. She did not order any drinks and just waited quietly. Yi Hua. If you have the guts, then don't come down today. He is still as heartless as before. The red and green brothers who were on duty also saw Dong Huang Baiji. I have no choice but to look, there is only a single customer in the entire bar, this is too miserable. Big brother, this woman is as beautiful as the lady boss. Little brother Red said in a low voice. Big brother Green nodded his head, although she is as beautiful as the lady boss, her temperament is too arrogant. I still feel that the lady boss is better, she is gentle. Little brother Red let out a sigh. Big brother, do you think that this beauty is here to look for the boss? Because even though I am so far away from her, I can still feel her resentment. Big brother Green wrinkled his brows and observed for a while. If she is really here to look for the boss, then the boss is finished. What are you two talking about? What boss is finished? Wei Chang came out from the back of the bar after changing his clothes. Big brother Green pointed at Dong Huang Baiji. There is a woman here, the very beautiful kind. Chapter 210. The green and red brothers looked at each other in disbelief. Could it be that they were really here to look for the boss? Oh my god, the boss was too amazing. He already had such a beautiful lady boss, and now he had another one. Moreover, it was the super arrogant version of the lady boss. Amazing. Just watch. Don't act rashly. Wei Chang said solemnly. It seemed that this was the truth. Ali was the child of this woman. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here. But this was too fast. Ali had just arrived in the morning, and it was only nightfall when her mother came to find her. Dong Huang Baiji had already been looking for her daughter for more than 10 days. Furthermore, the reason why she came here was not only to look for her daughter, but also to settle old scores with Yi Hua. Right now, Wei Chang was just like an ant on a hot pot. If the madam were to know about this matter, she would definitely fall out with his honor again. His honor's temper isn't that good. When the time comes, his honor won't be able to control himself. No. I still have to call Lai Gu over to suppress the situation. Don't let his honor go berserk, if not, everyone would be out of luck. Thinking of here, Wei Chang immediately contacted Lai Gu. Right now, Lai Gu was currently enjoying the delicacies made by his 3 wives. When he heard what Wei Chang said, the food in his mouth sprayed out and he immediately rushed over. What's going on? What's going on? Lai Gu secretly looked over. At this moment, the feeling of the scene was very strong. Forehead stretched out, arranged vertically. Looking at Dong Huang Baiji, Lai Gu swallowed his saliva. Back then, I was lying in my bedroom and saw his honor bringing Dong Huang Baiji into my room. I didn't expect that after 3 years, this woman had become more and more arrogant. His honor's eyesight is truly sinister, the women that he finds are all different from the masses. Retracting his head, Lai Gu asked nervously, what should we do? How would I know what to do? Wei Chang said in frustration. The two of them suddenly looked at the Green and Red brothers. The Green and Red brothers were startled. Don't look at us like that, I don't even know them. At this time, Tang Wei also changed her clothes and walked over. She asked curiously, what happened to you guys? What are you all standing here for? Xiao Tang, you can go back first today. Wei Chang decided to coax Tang Wei back. Who knows what will happen if his honor gets angry? Tang Wei was very puzzled, but when she saw Uncle Wei and Lai Gu's sunken face, she knew that something bad must have happened. All right, I'll go back first. Uncle Wei, if there's any situation, just give me a call, don't make me worry. Tang Wei was still very obedient. She knew that there were some things that she shouldn't participate in. Wei Chang nodded. Lai Gu's brows were tightly wrinkled, and after a while, he said, let's tie her up. Are you crazy? She is Little Overlord's mother. We all have to call her madam now. Do you want to offend your superiors? Wei Chang coldly shouted. Lai Gu scratched onto his hair and said gloomily, then, what do you think we should do? His honor is really something, why didn't he wear a condom? Gluttonous monster, you must remember to wear a condom. Wei Chang touched the condom in his pocket and sighed. He had always been prepared, but he never had the chance to use it. How about this, I'll go and probe first. Maybe it's not what we think. Wei Chang said in a low voice, even though he didn't believe his own words. Lai Gu nodded his head. This is the only way. Wei Chang tidied up his clothes, then walked straight towards Dong Huang Baiji. When Dong Huang Baiji saw Wei Chang walking over, there was not much expression on her face. It's still this man, madam, would you like something to drink? Wei Chang squeezed out a smile. Dong Huang Baiji said faintly, what? Pretending not to know me? Oh, so it's you. I'm getting old and my memory is getting worse. Although Wei Chang's performance was a little exaggerated, his words were exquisite and there were no loopholes. Dong Huang Baiji looked at Wei Chang and said, you're still the same. Yes, madam, you are becoming more and more beautiful. He remembered that 3 years ago, this security guard was not so talkative. It seemed that 3 years was enough to change a person. Seeing that Dong Huang Baiji did not speak anymore, Wei Chang asked with a smile, may I ask why you came here this time? Our goals are the same. It's over. Wei Chang's heart sunk. As expected, they are here to look for his honor. Dong Huang Baiji continued, you go and tell him. He could choose not to come down. But I will burn this bar down. Damn, this madam's temper is much better than Madame Qin Ya's, burning things for no reason at all. Did these chairs and tables offend you? Indeed, Dong Huang Baiji felt that everything here was an eyesore. Wei Chang walked back and shook his head towards Lai Gu. Lai Gu heaved a heavy sigh. Right now, the Green and Red brothers' brains were in a state of blank out. Your Honor. Madam. Little Sovereign. Ali's mother. The amount of information was too much. The woman outside was Ali's mother, and the boss was Ali's father, but Ali's father had another woman. Were they trying to catch a mistress? Second floor. Dong Wangli rubbed onto her round belly and said, Uncle, Li is so full. Yihua pinched onto his daughter's little nose and said with a smile, who asked Ali to eat so much? It's delicious. Dong Wangli was enjoying Yihua's caress very much. It was fortunate that Dong Huang Baiji didn't immediately rush over. If not, if she were to see how happy this family was, she would definitely run away even faster than Yihua. While I am worrying about all kinds of things in Voidless Realm, the two of you are eating and drinking to your heart's content and laughing happily here. Have you ever thought about the feelings of others? Fortunately, all of this didn't happen. Yihua could be considered to be quite lucky. Just when Yihua wanted to say something to Qinya, he received a message from Wei Chang in his mind, and his brows immediately wrinkled. Your Honor. Something big has happened. Wei Chong. What did I teach you? Don't panic in the face of danger. No matter how big the matter is, I am here. Your Honor. This was no ordinary matter. That woman came. After hearing that, Yihua went into a daze. This surprise came too quickly, right? What the fuck, I am panicking right now. She came. So fast. Yihua, what happened to you? Are you feeling unwell? Qinya asked with concern. Yihua was still fine just a moment ago, and yet, he suddenly changed. Yihua revealed out a smile that was even uglier than crying. I'm fine, I just recalled an unhappy matter. Uncle Yi, Ali will dance for you, then you will be happy. Qin Yutong laughed. Wow, Ali knows how to dance. I often dance for mother to see and make mother happy. After speaking, Dong Huangli walked to the side. The so-called dance that Dong Huangli was talking about was just twisting her small body. However, it was still quite decent, and everyone who saw it couldn't help but laugh. Just that, Yihua didn't have the slightest bit of mood right now. Originally, I wanted to let Qinya and Ali interact with each other for a period of time to nurture their relationship. Although I guessed that Ali might come, I didn't expect that she would come so quickly. Qinya, bring Ali to wash her face, there are oil stains on the corner of her mouth. Yihua said faintly. He decided to send Qinya away first, then go and meet Ali by himself. Qinya was completely unaware that a woman had come to look for her downstairs. With a smile on her face, she carried Ali. Ali, let's go and wash our face, huh? There are oil stains on Aunt Qing's mouth too. Poof, Qinya directly kissed Dong Huangli. Not to be outdone, Dong Huangli kissed onto Qinya's cheek, then laughed loudly. After the two left, Yihua stood up and said gravely, I'm going down to smoke a cigarette. Qin Yutong sensed that something was wrong with her brother-in-law. Meanwhile, Yihua gave Yizizi an order to stop Qinya from going downstairs. Chapter 211. Dong Wang Baiji closed her beautiful eyes and waited quietly. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came from the staircase. Of course, he would not forget this voice. That night, he also came down like this and directly walked up to him to invite him. He was so drunk that he actually fell for this bastard's trick. But he came down. He really came down. Dong Huang Baiji suddenly became nervous. Just what is this damnable man trying to do? If you have the ability, then don't come down. Just as heartless as before. Yihua's gaze was deep as he stared at the back figure that was not far away from him. It was exactly the same as back then. Yihua took out a cigarette and lit it up. Yihua wasn't in a hurry to meet with Qinya, and he was currently worried about Qinya. When did I become so timid? I'm almost not like myself anymore. In any case, I'm going to meet her sooner or later. Don't tell me that I'm going to hide this woman away. Since she has the fortune to be pregnant with my bloodline, I will reluctantly accept it. I will talk to Qinya about it when the time comes. Wei Chong and Lai Gu, as well as the Green and Red brothers, were hiding at the side and secretly watching. Wei Chong and Lai Gu were also feeling extremely nervous in their hearts. Who exactly is the mistress? While smoking, Yihua slowly walked forward, then sat down and looked at the woman in front of him. She had changed. Compared to 3 years ago, she had become even more mature and arrogant. Fortunately, she had changed into the type that his honor liked, or else it would be really hard for him to accept her. Dong Wang Baiji was also sizing up the man who she had not seen for 3 years. He did not change at all, there was not a single expression on his face, and when he looked at everyone, it was as if he was looking at an ant. Furthermore, he still loves to smoke. It was this man who wanted her for an entire night. She did not rest for an entire night. After she fainted, she was woken up by him again. It was an endless cycle. Even when she woke up in the morning, he did not care for her at all. He even said that he did not want to see her again. He did not even say his name. Yi Hua, I trust you have been well since we last met. Dong Huang Baiji said coldly. Yi Hua slightly wrinkled his brows. How do you know my name? Suddenly, he thought of the hot pot restaurant. Could it be that she was secretly spying on him? Thinking about it, there was really such a possibility. Ali appeared yesterday, and she arrived today. However, why did she want to change the shop assistant? It was an unnecessary move. Dong Huang Baiji snorted. In actuality, I don't want to know your name, just hearing it makes me uncomfortable. Look, how could such a woman not be trained? Even Qinya wasn't as arrogant as her back then. However, when he thought about how she was the child's mother and how she had been wandering outside for 3 years, even if she didn't make any contributions, she had worked hard. He didn't want to lecture her now. There would be opportunities in the future to change her. I also know the reason why you came here. Yi Hua said faintly. Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly, and in an instant, she looked incredibly beautiful. Tell me, why did I come here? I also know that you have suffered. Since you are here, it means that you have not forgotten me. In that case, I will let bygones be bygones. From now on, be my woman. The mouths of the 4 people who were hiding at the back were shaped into an O shape. There's nothing wrong with what His Honor said, especially that last sentence. From now on, just be my woman. Too domineering. Too manly. Any woman would have to submit to these words. Wei Chang and Big Brother Green immediately took out a small notebook and wrote it down. It would definitely be useful in the future. Ha. Ha ha ha. Dong Huang Baiji laughed out loud, as if she had heard the funniest thing in the world. He is actually willing to let bygones be bygones. How dare you say this empress came for him? He even wants this empress to be his woman. I didn't expect that he is still so narcissistic, to think that he is the only man left in the world. But why didn't you say such words back then? Perhaps, our family of 3 wouldn't have been separated then. What are you laughing at? Yi Hua asked coldly. Dong Huang Baiji kept away her smile and said coldly, I'm laughing at your stupidity. Immediately, a fierce aura erupted out from Yi Hua's body. Don't think that you are my woman. You can talk back to me. There was a difference between Dong Huang Baiji and Qinya. Qinya was unable to resist, but Dong Huang Baiji was able to resist. A fierce aura erupted out from Dong Huang Baiji's body, and the 2 auras collided violently, causing all of the chairs in the surroundings to be blown away. Wei Chang felt his heart aching. When the time comes, I will have to clean up the place myself. Your woman? Yi Hua. Your tone is still as big as before. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out. At the same time, she was also very surprised at Yi Hua's strength. To actually be on par with me. Yi Hua was also rather surprised. This woman's strength is not bad, no wonder she is so rude and unreasonable. It's a pity that you don't know anything about my strength. You are still as arrogant as before. What are you 2 doing? A voice rang out from the staircase, causing Yi Hua's heart to sink. Meanwhile, Dong Huang Baiji turned her head around and took a look. As expected, this woman matches my taste. However, what I feel even more in my heart is unconvinced. Qinya had just heard some noises coming from downstairs, and while ignoring Yi Zizi's obstruction, she walked down the stairs. Qinya saw Yi Hua talking to a woman, and that woman turned her head around and took a look at me. Why is she unconvinced? Qinya was a little confused. However, this woman is indeed beautiful. This fellow wouldn't be doing that again, right? Bastard. When the 4 people who were hiding at the side saw Qinya coming down the stairs, they immediately held their breaths. Lai Gu was nervous to the point that he pinched onto Little Brother Red's ear, while Little Brother Red was in pain to the point that he grabbed onto Big Brother Green's thigh, and Big Brother Green was in pain to the point that he covered onto his mouth. Wei Chang looked at the situation in front of him and thought to himself, I'm finished. 2 madams colliding into each other, this is bad. Qinya took a glare at her husband. You are already a man with a wife, and yet, you are still fooling around in your own shop. Are you tired of living? Be careful that you don't get spanked when we go back. With a smile on her face, Qingye walked to the side and sat down, then said to Dongwang Baiji, I'm sorry, he just likes to mess around, please don't mind him. Dongwang Baiji looked towards Yihua, seemingly asking, she doesn't know of my existence? Right now, the situation was very clear. Dongwang Baiji laughed. She was laughing at herself for being stupid. Then, she said to Qingye, have you been deceived by him before? Qingye was a little stupefied. She took a look at Yihua and saw that his expression wasn't very good. He is my husband, may I ask what's the matter? Qingye was still very polite. I feel that there is something wrong with the two of them, and it isn't like what I thought it to be. Dongwang Baiji smiled and shook her head, you two got married? Yes. Qingye had already developed hostility. This woman is coming at me menacingly, I can't be afraid. Dongwang Baiji asked herself, I am not inferior to her in any way, why did you give up on me and choose her? Let me guess how the two of you met. Enough. Yihua shouted out gravely. Qingye gradually became serious. There is a problem here, there is something wrong with Yihua's expression. Yihua, I want to hear it. Qingye said gravely. Yihua knew that it would be like this. Taking out a stick of cigarette, Yihua lit it up. I, the Supreme Overlord, was actually forced into a terrible situation by two women. If this were to be spread out, where would I put my face? Chapter 212. How did you know? Qingye's expression became grave. This woman is not simple. Let me finish speaking first. After pausing for a moment, Dongwang Baiji continued, that day, your mood was definitely not good, am I right? Qingye's expression changed slightly, then nodded her head. After that, he appeared and told you some crooked reasoning, and you followed him up the stairs muddle-headedly. As for what happened after that, I don't think I need to say any more, right? Hearing till here, Qingye's expression changed greatly. She immediately looked towards Yihua, as if she was saying, how did she know everything? Yihua smoked his cigarette and did not reply. His expression did not look good. He wanted to refute, but he was powerless to refute. Because, everything that she said was correct, other than that crooked reasoning, it was obviously the correct reasoning. Furthermore, you all did it willingly, when did I force you? Did I place a knife on your neck, or was I going to exterminate your entire family? But no matter how she argued, what she said was true. Seeing that Yihua did not reply, Qingye asked with a sunken face, how did you know? Because I am the same as you, I was also tricked by him to go upstairs. Dongwang Baiji said coldly, but her gaze was fixedly staring at Yihua, this heartless man. Qingye took in a breath of cold air. Her brain was buzzing, and she immediately felt that the world was spinning. After a long time, Qingye mumbled towards Yihua, is what she said true? Yihua took a puff of his cigarette, then nodded his head and said, she is the first woman that I told you about. Qingye found it hard to believe. Back then, Yihua indeed told me that there was another woman before me, but I didn't expect that it was her. But, I am Yihua's legal wife. You only had a one-night stand with my man. Although Qingye thought that way, she still felt uncomfortable in her heart. What exactly do you mean? Qingye questioned Dongwang Baiji. Since she is Yihua's past lover, then I shall just get rid of her. Dongwang Baiji appeared to be much calmer. After all, when she heard that Yihua had a wife, she had already calmed down. Wait, I haven't finished speaking. This was a contest between two intelligent women. Although Qingye didn't possess powerful strength, right now, her imposing manner wasn't any weaker than Dongwang Baiji's. Right now, Qingye was giving off the impression that no one should even think about snatching away my husband. Say it. I want to hear what nonsense you can come up with. Dongwang Baiji said faintly, Qingye, don't be nervous, the reason why I came here today is not because of you. If it was possible, I actually didn't want to come here. Right now, Qingya was even more puzzled. This woman really doesn't play her cards according to the routine, causing me to be unable to make a move. Also, how did she know his name? Alright, back to business. After that night, the two of you didn't contact each other until you found out that you were pregnant. That's when you came to find him. Dong Wang Baiji's words caused Qingya to be shocked once again, and her face was filled with disbelief. Dong Wang Baiji knows everything? Was he being monitored? In actuality, what I want to know is, how many days did you wait for him before he went downstairs? Dong Wang Baiji asked the question that she was most concerned about. Recently, his daughter had gone missing. Other than worrying about his daughter's safety, he was also troubled by this problem. If he didn't get to the bottom of it, he wouldn't be able to die in peace. Qingya didn't understand why Dong Wang Baiji would ask this question, but she still said, 3 days. Hearing Qingya's reply, Dong Wang Baiji suddenly laughed miserably. 3 days. He only waited for 3 days. Yi Hua. Why are you so cruel to me, but so doting on her? I, Dong Wang Baiji, refuse to accept this. Are you done laughing? Yi Hua shouted gravely. This woman really needs to be taught a lesson. Look at how she is acting, how improper. Dong Wang Baiji didn't pay attention to Yi Hua and continued, Qingya, do you know how many days I waited for him? Qingya shook her head blankly. They actually still have more to say. I waited for him for half a month. Half a month. And I was even chased out every night. He just sat upstairs, not caring about me at all. Do you know how I felt back then? Did I want to die? Dong Wang Baiji was no longer able to suppress the torment in her heart and roared out. At this moment, she wasn't an empress, and she wasn't a mother either. She was just a woman who was abandoned by a cruel man. Qingya didn't expect such a situation, because she never heard from Yi Hua that this woman came to look for him. And Yi Hua only found out from Wei Chang recently that this woman came to look for him. Back then, his emotions weren't very stable, which was why he didn't meet with her. Dong Wang Baiji could be seen suddenly standing up, pointing at Yi Hua and shouting out, Yi Hua. Let me ask you, why did you go downstairs 3 days after she was pregnant? You ignored my pregnancy. Why? Yi Hua didn't expect that this woman would have such a huge grievance. This was something that was unexpected, but as my woman. Can't you speak properly with this kind of attitude? Yi Hua's temper was also starting to get a bit out of control. Can you speak properly? Yi Hua said coldly. I can't. Dong Wang Baiji was an empress, and she was worshipped by people every day, thus, her aura was not ordinary. Right now, Qingya was stupefied. She was pregnant just like me? 3 years ago. The child is probably already 3 years old, right? Right now, Qingya completely didn't know what to do. The expressions of the 4 people who were hiding at the side and peeking at the scene were complicated. Little brother Red took a tissue and wiped his snot. So pitiful, too pitiful, it isn't easy to be a single mother. The boss is simply too cruel, not even willing to meet with a pregnant woman. Big brother Green sighed. My little brother was raised by his mother, and he has never even seen what his father looks like. What a pitiful child. Hey, why didn't you tell His Honor about such a thing earlier? Lai Gu pulled onto Wei Chang's sleeve and had a very curious look on his face. Wei Chang said helplessly, back then, His Honor was very unstable during those few days. It's not like you don't know about it. I didn't even have the chance to report it to His Honor, and His Honor chased me away. Now that you mentioned it, His Honor seemed to be unstable during that period of time. I remember now. Wei Chang asked gravely, what did you remember? During those few days, His Honor was watching Calabash Brothers save Grandpa. It seems that after the internet connection was disconnected for half a day, His Honor was unable to control his emotions, and it was very easy for him to get angry. Lai Gu recalled for a while. That day, when I was lying beside His Honor, I even had a dream, and there were a lot of delicious food. Wei Chang held on to his forehead. I didn't expect that because the internet connection was disconnected, causing his honor to not be able to watch Calabash Brothers save Grandpa, which led to today's disaster. My God. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the staircase, Qing Yutong and Yizizi were currently eavesdropping on his honor. Yizizi had a worried look on her face, and she hoped that his honor would be able to tide through this crisis. Qing Yutong was also extremely shocked. As expected, brother-in-law has a woman outside. Then, could Ali be that woman? Aunt Qing, what are you two doing? Dong Wangli had just gone to change into a new set of clothes. The dress was rather hard to wear, so it took a bit of time for her to change. Seeing that Aunt Qing did not have any reaction, Dong Wangli skipped down the stairs. At this moment, only then did Qing Yutong and Yizizi react, but it was already too late. Chapter 213. Wei Chang and Lai Gu were already sweating profusely, while Big Brother Green and Little Brother Red had an, as expected, look on their faces. Qing Yutong's body became unstable, and she immediately rolled down the stairs. When she lost her balance, she pulled Yizizi along with her, and in the end, the two of them rolled down the stairs with a stupefied look on their faces. So awkward, we were discovered eavesdropping. Should we hide and continue eavesdropping? When Dong Wang Baiji heard this familiar voice, hot tears immediately flowed down from her eyes. Ali, mother. Although Dong Wangli was angry at her mother, she still missed her mother after not seeing her for more than 10 days. Dong Wangli could be seen pouncing into her mother's embrace, then said with a childish voice, "Mother, Ali misses you." While hugging onto her daughter, Dong Wang Baiji's heart ached. Ali, mother has let you down. Ali doesn't blame mother, don't cry. Dong Wangli shouted out sweetly, then stretched out her little hand to wipe off her mother's tears. Right now, Qingya's face was pale, as if she had lost her soul. Ali's mother is actually me. Then, Yi Hua, he is Ali's father. No wonder he came back so hurriedly. No wonder he is so protective of Ali. So he already knew that Ali is my child. Qingya's heart was crushed by Yi Hua's lies, and even breathing became incomparably difficult. The current Yi Hua looks so unfamiliar to me. Just a few hours ago, I even asked him if he lied to me, and he said that he didn't. Then what is he doing now? Yi Hua. I am also a human, I have my own pride, why did you lie to me? Dong Wangli still didn't know what the current situation was. She held on to her mother's hand and said with a smile, "Mother, this is Aunt Qing, she treats Ali very well. Also, this is Uncle Yi, he even treated Ali to a big meal today. There are also Uncle Green and Uncle Red." Big Brother Green and Little Brother Red, who were hiding at the side, immediately shrunk back. "Little ancestor, this isn't the time to talk about this, can't you see that your daddy is panicking right now? Ali, come home with mother." Right now, Dong Wang Baiji didn't want to think about anything else, she just wanted to go home with her daughter and watch her grow up. Dong Wangli seemed to be a bit scared as she said in a low voice, "Mother, Ali wants to play with Uncle Yi." "Your Uncle Yi is not a good person, Ali, don't be deceived by him." Hearing that her daughter was actually getting so close to Yi Hua, Dong Wang Baiji's arrogance rose once again. This time, Yi Hua exploded. With a slap onto the table, the entire table immediately turned into dust. What is your name?" Yi Hua didn't even know how to start scolding. The child is already so big, and yet, he actually doesn't even know what this woman's name is. Dong Wangli hurriedly said, "Uncle Yi, mother didn't do it on purpose, also, mother's name is Baiji, her surname is the same as Ali's." "Ali, don't speak," Dong Wang Baiji said gravely. Immediately, little Ali shrunk his head. Right now, Yi Hua finally knew the other party's name. Dong Wang Baiji, right. Ali is my bloodline. You don't have the qualifications to take her away. Yi Hua's tone was filled with an unquestionable tone, and this caused Qingya, who was silent at the side, to feel even more heartbroken. She didn't expect that the man she found was the same as her father. Dong Wang Baiji was stupefied, and she asked curiously, "Yehua, now you know that you want a child. What did you do back then? Do you even have the qualifications to be Ali's father? If I don't have the qualifications, who the hell does? Yihua couldn't help but curse out. His voice was so loud that it caused the entire bar to tremble slightly. This meant that the current Yihua had somewhat stabilized. Dong Huangli, who was being carried in Yihua's embrace, felt dizzy. Uncle Yi seems to have become my father. Mother, didn't you say that father died? Why did he come back to life? Dong Huangli asked curiously with her eyes opened wide. Thinking about it, Yihua became angry. Dong Huang Baiji, you actually cursed me to die. The moment you abandoned me, to me, you were already dead. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out coldly. Daddy, hug. Dong Huangli didn't feel sad at all, on the contrary, she seemed to be very happy. To begin with, I liked Uncle Yi a lot, and now that Uncle Yi has become a daddy, he will be able to love me for the rest of my life. However, Dong Huang Baiji felt very uncomfortable when she heard Dong Huang Baiji's words. She said lightly, Ali, be obedient and listen to mother. Let's leave this place, mother will always accompany Ali, alright? No. I want daddy. Upon hearing that she was going to leave her daddy, Dong Huangli became anxious. Although Dong Huang Baiji was hugging onto Dong Huangli's bosom, Dong Huangli's hands were stretched towards Yihua. The power of bloodline was incomparable. He had raised it for almost 3 years, but it could not even compare to a few days. Dong Huang Baiji was unable to imagine that her daughter would be so disobedient. Then, Dong Huangli raised her hand and slapped onto Dong Huangli's butt. Dong Huangli immediately started crying. Yihua was enraged. My daughter is not someone that you can hit. I can't even bear to beat him up. A surge of righteous energy rushed towards Dong Huang Baiji, causing the latter's expression to change. With a slight movement of her hand, a golden barrier appeared in front of her. However, the daughter that was in Yihua's embrace suddenly disappeared, and Yihua, who was not far away, could be seen hugging onto his daughter. This made Dong Huang Baiji extremely shocked. How could the golden barrier be able to withstand Yihua's aura? Immediately, the golden barrier broke apart and rushed towards Dong Huang Baiji. Dong Huang Baiji was greatly startled. She didn't expect that this man would be so powerful. Bang! But he still couldn't block it. His entire body flew backward, smashing into the bar counter and leaving a dent. Everyone was dumbfounded. His honor actually hit a woman. Furthermore, the woman that he hit is his child's mother. If news of this were to spread out, it would definitely become a scandal. His honor is too awesome, even I don't dare to hit my wife like this. Lai Gu sighed. In the future, I must learn from his honor's move. If someone is disobedient, I will hit them until they are obedient. Big Brother Green said in a low voice, that's right, all of the men in our village are afraid of their wives. Boss is too awesome, I am waiting for my idol. That's right, Big Brother. I have decided. In the future, I must learn from boss and try to hit my wife as soon as possible. Not bad, you comprehend very quickly. Big Brother Green patted onto his little brother's shoulder. Qin Yutong and Yizizi, who were at the side, were also extremely shocked, especially Qin Yutong, who covered her mouth with both of her hands. My God, brother-in-law actually hit his wife, so scary. My God, Big Brother is too inhumane. Yihua looked towards Dong Huang Baiji coldly, then consoled Dong Huangli, who was in his embrace. Ali, don't cry. Woo-woo, daddy, don't hit mommy. Domestic violence. A solid hammer. Seeing how wrong the little fellow was, Yihua hurriedly coaxed, alright, daddy won't hit mommy. Ali, don't cry, okay? Dong Huang Baiji's expression was gloomy as she slowly walked out of the room. She was completely fine, not even a speck of dust could be seen on her body. In actuality, Yihua was still steady when he hit Dong Huang Baiji. He was only teaching her a lesson. If not, how could he have been able to hit Dong Huang Baiji so easily? Chapter 214. Mama, don't hit Papa, or Ali will have no Papa again. Without waiting for Dong Huang Baiji to act, Dong Huangli started crying loudly. No matter how Yi Hua coaxed her, it was useless. Ali is just a jinx. No matter where he goes, he will make others angry. No matter where he goes, he will bring harm to others. Wah! Ali looked up to the sky and cried, as if everyone in the world hated her. Her cries were heartbreaking. Dong Huang Baiji gradually returned to normal. There was nothing more important than having a child. Just when Dong Huang Baiji was about to coax her daughter, Dong Huang Li's petite body immediately emitted out an astonishing bloodline fluctuation, and along with the sound of crying, her bloodline was about to erupt. Yi Hua was greatly startled. I didn't expect that the bloodline in my daughter's body would go out of control. Yi Hua immediately suppressed it. If it were to explode, I reckon that the entire Long and city would be leveled to the ground. In the future, I still have to teach Ali how to control the power of my bloodline. Caressing his daughter who was in deep sleep, Yi Hua lightly wiped away the tears at the corner of his eyes. What did you do to my daughter? Dong Huang Baiji thought that Yi Hua did something bad to her daughter, and immediately, a sharp sword appeared in her hand. This woman actually dared to use her sword against me. His left hand turned into a palm, and a formless power controlled Dong Huang Baiji in the sky. Soon after, Dong Huang Baiji clenched his fist. Dong Huang Baiji's face was deathly pale as she lightly landed onto the ground. The spiritual energy within her body was actually sealed. How did he do it? Yi Hua carried on to Ali who was in deep sleep and said coldly, seeing that you are Ali's mother, I will let you off this time. But from now on, do your part, or don't blame me for teaching you a lesson again. You bastard. The pale and powerless Dong Huang Baiji stretched out her fist and punched towards Yi Hua. With a slight dodge, Dong Huang Baiji missed her target and knocked onto the table. Dong Huang Baiji tightly wrinkled her brows. So painful. Qingya stood up, did not cry nor did she make a fuss, and walked towards the stairs. Qing Yutong hurriedly followed behind her big sister. Don't let her big sister do anything stupid. Seeing Qingya like this, Yi Hua had no choice but to say, Wei Chong. Leisure bar will be temporarily closed for this period of time. With a wave of his hand, a blue halo enveloped the entire bar, and it was exactly the same move that he used against Qingya back then. Wei Chong said solemnly, Yes, boss. Looking at her daughter being carried up the stairs by Yi Hua, Dong Huang Baiji ignored the pain on her body and rushed towards Yi Hua. You damned bastard, return my daughter to me. Just that, before he could even touch Yi Hua's body, he crashed into the air wall and fell onto the ground. Yi Hua turned his head around and said faintly, Dong Huang Baiji. Tonight, you should rest downstairs and reflect on how to be a good mother, how to be a virtuous wife. Look at your attitude and actions tonight. You've made me lose face. Wei Chong and Big Brother Green started taking notes. There's nothing wrong with what His Honor said, it's domineering. This was how a man should be. Big Brother Green had never seen such an awesome man before. He could even teach such a beautiful woman a lesson. As expected of his boss. Yi Zizi looked at Madame Dong Huang Baiji with a smile. Your wonderful life has just begun, Yi Hua. You bastard, return Ali to me. Dong Huang Baiji stood up once again and chased after Yi Hua. However, Dong Huang Baiji was blocked by an air wall. Although Leisure Bar was under martial law, Yi Hua intentionally gave Dong Huang Baiji a small cell, and locked her in the lounge of Leisure Bar. While pounding on the invisible wall, Dong Huang Baiji couldn't help but cry. She slowly slid down from the wall and sat on the ground powerlessly. Dong Huang Baiji mumbled, return Ali to me, return Ali to me. Wei Chong and Lai Gu sighed. You shouldn't have touched His Honor's angry face. Aren't you just looking for trouble? It's good that you are fine, I will go back first. Lai Gu let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Madame Qingya didn't get angry, if not, it would be even more difficult to clean up the mess. Wei Chong was a bit worried about Madame Qingya's situation. Just now, Madame Qingya did not say anything, but it was precisely because of this that Madame Qingya was not willing to say anything. From this, it could be seen that his honor had deeply hurt Madame Chinya. However, from his honor's point of view, there was nothing wrong with what he did. It was all the fault of human nature, and it had to take the blame. Why are you two still standing there? Do you want to get involved in the boss's family affairs? The green and red brothers hurriedly shook their heads. How would they dare to do that? Go back with me then. Wei Cheng paused for a moment, then took a look at Dong Huang Baiji, who was sitting on the ground. Seems like his honor is planning to do a long-term training job. As a subordinate, it is better for me not to do this kind of thing. After finished speaking, Wei Cheng brought the two brothers and left, returning back to the rented house. Tang Wei nearly jumped up from her seat. Opportunities are already few to begin with, and you even brought along 2 light bulbs, and it's even a traffic light. Uncle Wei, do you really want to do that with me or not? I am so angry. On the other side, Yihua carried Dong Huangli and stood outside of the bedroom, thinking about how to deal with Chinya. I reckon that Chinya is currently packing up her clothes. After all, I didn't hear any sounds of things being smashed. Brother-in-law, you are finished. Qin Yutong walked over quietly and said unhappily. How is your big sister? Yihua asked in a low voice. Qin Yutong shook her head. She is very abnormal. I have never seen big sister like this before. Brother-in-law, you take care of yourself. I am going to go and play games. What kind of F***king situation is this, and you are still thinking about playing games? Aren't you going to help me think of a way? Taking a deep breath, Yihua opened the door and entered the bedroom. Yihua immediately froze. The bedroom was very clean, and there was no suitcase to be found either. Only the light in the bathroom was still on. For Chinya to still have the mood to take a bath, it seems like things are going to be settled. Chinya is still the sensible one. She knows how to think from my point of view. Unlike that Dong Huang Baiji who doesn't have any manners at all, she is too lacking. My daughter has already been snatched away. What kind of manners do I still need? If Yihua were to see how Dong Huang Baiji looks like when she is wearing the dragon patterned purple gown, the supreme overlord, like this kind of arrogant woman. Lightly placing his daughter onto the bed, Yihua revealed out a smile that a father should have. This little fellow's nose is so cute. Bang! The bathroom door was opened, and Yihua turned his head around, then said with a light smile, Chinya, your performance today made me rather surprised. After speaking, Yihua wanted to hug onto Chinya. Yihua. Chinya slightly dodged away and said lightly. Don't worry, I won't leave. Chinya's tone was very indifferent, and this caused Yihua to feel that the situation wasn't good. Yihua held on to Chinya's hand and said slowly, of course you won't leave. This time, Chinya didn't dodge away from Yihua's hand and said, Yihua, do you still remember the promise that we made back then? Yihua's hand stopped, then slowly raised his head and looked at Chinya. What do you mean by this? You helped me get rid of the engagement, and I will fulfill my promise. How about this? I don't owe you anything, and you don't owe me anything either. Yihua suddenly stood up and shouted out gravely, are you crazy? What do you mean by owe me anything? Could it be that you are still thinking about that bullshit promise right now? I only want you. Chapter 2:15. Yihua's chest heaved up and down violently as he let go of Chinya's hand, then said coldly, even if you don't want it, you have to. In the future, I will go to your office to rest. I won't disturb your family reunion. Chinya. Can't you be a little more rational? Chinya turned around with a ferocious expression and shouted in a low voice, I'm very rational right now. If I wasn't rational, I would have already gone mad. Yihua remained silent as he watched Chinya pick up the quilt and walk towards the office. Bang! You even used quite a bit of strength to close the door. If you break the door, you won't be able to pay for it in your entire life. These two women. Not a single one of them can make me worry, and each one is more awesome than the other. You brought this upon yourselves. I, the Supreme Overlord, can only act forcefully and lock you up for life. Don't even think about going anywhere. Looking at his daughter who was lying on the bed, Yihua stretched out his hand and lightly stroked onto Dong Huangli's forehead. My daughter is still the most obedient. Bang! 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 Sounds of smashing rang out from downstairs, and Yihua's expression became serious. This woman is starting to go crazy too. She pulled out a napkin, crumpled it into a ball, and stuffed it into her daughter's ear so she wouldn't be woken up by her crazy mother. Walking out of the bedroom, Yihua lit up a cigarette, then slowly walked downstairs. Dong Huangbaiji could be seen holding onto a chair and smashing it all over the place, causing the entire lounge to be in a complete mess. If Dong Huangbaiji was given a lighter, she would be able to light up this entire bar. While smoking the cigarette, Yihua silently looked at Dong Huangbaiji, who was randomly smashing the cigarette. After all, I am feeling very uncomfortable in my heart, and I need to vent it out properly. You damned bastard. When Dong Huangbaiji saw that Yihua had arrived, she picked up the chair and ran towards Yihua, then ruthlessly smashed it towards Yihua. Unfortunately, she was blocked by the air wall. Yihua knew that she would be blocked by the air wall, and thus, he stood beside the air wall, as if he was visiting a prisoner. It has been a few minutes since I closed the bar, but it seems like your temper did not change at all. Yihua said faintly, then walked to the side of the shabby bar counter and poured a cup of wine. Continue, I will watch. While sipping on the wine, Yihua said lightly. Dong Huangbaiji placed down the chair that she was holding onto, then asked gravely, just what do you want? I've already said it. I don't want to repeat myself. Dong Huangbaiji shouted out coldly, I can't do it. I don't expect you to be able to do it right now. Take your time, I have plenty of time. Yihua said faintly while fiddling with the wine cup in his hand. Dong Huangbaiji was angered to the point that her entire face turned red. Just by looking at his face, Dong Huangbaiji really wanted to scratch his face. Where's my Ollie? Don't worry, I'm sleeping upstairs. Dong Huangbaiji let out a breath of relief. As long as the child is fine, everything is fine. Dong Huangbaiji placed the chair properly and sat opposite of Yihua. There was an air wall between the two of them, but from the way they sat, it seemed as if they were discussing a deal. What do you want in order to let me and my child go? Dong Huangbaiji asked gravely. Yihua didn't answer this question. Instead, he asked, why did Ali come out alone? Dong Huangbaiji remained silent. I'm asking you a question. Yihua slammed onto the table and shouted. Dong Huangbaiji pouted her mouth. What does it have to do with you? Yihua was angered to the point of laughing. I have never seen such an irresponsible woman before. What kind of mother are you? If anything were to happen to Ali outside, would have whipped you to death. If it wasn't for the Green and Red brothers, you wouldn't even know that Ali was sold. Yihua began teaching his daughter. I have no choice but to teach her. Look at that, I'm the number one in the world, look. Dong Huangbaiji originally wanted to retort back, but when she heard that her daughter was sold, she hurriedly asked, what happened? What happened to Ali? Everything is fine now, I have already dealt with it. However, have you ever thought about the consequences? It's fine for you to bear grudges against me, but how can you vent it on your child? Have you ever been a good mother for a day? Facing Yihua's accusation, Dong Huangbaiji was unable to refute. Because what Yihua said was right, I indeed didn't act as a good mother, and I even transferred my resentment onto my child. Have you ever been a good father for a day? At the very least, I did it today. Yihua said faintly. Have you ever been a good man? Yihua extinguished the cigarette and asked silently, are you still blaming me for not coming down to see you back then? Dong Huangbaiji could be seen snorting. Back then, you said that I, Yihua, would never touch the same woman for a second time. You are a liar. Alright, this is not bad, I got slapped in the face. Seeing that Yihua remained silent, Dong Huangbaiji shouted out coldly, why aren't you speaking? Weren't you very talkative just now? Didn't you have a good time scolding me? I, Yihua, will lie to whoever I want to lie to, and I can even take back what I said earlier. I have long wanted to take back what I said earlier, just that I didn't have the chance to do so. You. I have never seen someone as shameless as you, to actually be able to take back what you said. Dong Wang Baiji was angered to the point where she started laughing. Yi Hua said coldly, I'm shameless? Then why did you come and look for me? Isn't it because you can't forget about me? What is there to be embarrassed about? After all, I am indeed outstanding, and I can understand why you have such thoughts. After hearing what Yi Hua said, Dong Wang Baiji was stupefied. Soon after, she picked up a chair and smashed it onto Yi Hua. Go and die. Who cares about you? I am here to look for my daughter, you shameless bastard. Yi Hua lit up another stick of cigarette, then asked faintly, do you still remember what you called me on that night 3 years ago? Dong Wang Baiji went into a daze. That night, Yi Hua. I am going to kill you, you bastard. After finished speaking, she became even more ferocious. Standing up, Yi Hua smoked his cigarette and walked towards the second floor. Slowly smash me. When you have thought it through, I will let you go. You can go and die. Hearing Dong Wang Baiji's various curses, Yi Hua felt that the path of disciplining Dong Wang Baiji was still rather long. Arriving in front of the office, Yi Hua tried the door lock, and as expected, the door was locked from the inside. Chinya, you are underestimating me too much. Bang. Yi Hua pushed open the door and entered the office. Chinya could be seen curled up on the sofa, and her delicate shoulders were slightly shaking. Chinya was crying. Seeing Chinya like this, Yi Hua felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Just yesterday, she was still acting coquettishly in my embrace, and yet today, walking to the side of the sofa, Yi Hua said faintly, Chinya, I know that you are sad, but I have my own difficulties as well. Chinya did not say anything, and her back was facing Yi Hua. Alright, don't be angry, let's go back and sleep. Aren't you unable to sleep if you don't hug something? Yi Hua poked onto Chinya's shoulder probingly. Chinya could be heard sobbing, Yi Hua, I only have one request. Yi Hua felt very comfortable hearing Chinya's words. Yi Hua hurriedly said, don't say one, I will even agree to 100 requests. After the child is born, let me see him once a month, can you promise me that? Chinya still did not turn her head around, seemingly like she did not want to see Yi Hua, and her tone became even more weak. Yi Hua became silent, then slowly stood up and asked, Chinya, just what is wrong with you? Ali is my child, that Dong Wang Baiji can only be my woman. Chapter 216. I, the Supreme Overlord, have already lowered my status to persuade you. Look at those men from the big families, Shao Yi, Tang Wushuang. All of them have many wives and concubines. I only have 2. Yi Hua was immediately unconvinced. Why is it that other people can have so many of them, and yet, I, the Supreme Overlord, only have 2 of them, and yet, I end up like this? Chinya snorted coldly, only 2. It seems like you still want to expand your harem. Bullshit. When did I say such a thing? If it wasn't for Ali, you would be the only woman in my life. Chinya still didn't turn her head around. Yi Hua, I don't believe in your nonsense anymore. It's getting late, I want to rest, you can go out first. Yi Hua was very angry. I didn't expect that Chinya would be like this as well. Alright, this is all because of you too. Fine, but let me tell you this, Chinya, don't ever think about leaving me for the rest of your life. After finished speaking, Yi Hua opened the door and left. Yi Hua. You are a bastard. Liar. Chinya's curses could be heard coming from inside the house, and there were also various kinds of smashing sounds coming from downstairs. Yi Hua let out a deep sigh. Should I go and look for that Shao Yi and ask him for advice on how to make sure that all of my wives are safe and sound? After thinking about it, Yi Hua decided to forget about it. I, the Supreme Overlord, am such an outstanding man, yet I still have to go and seek help from others. If this matter were to spread out, where would my face be? Right now, I can only take things one step at a time. Arriving at Qin Yutong's room, Yihua opened the door and took a look. The back view of an adult and a child was engaged in a heated battle. The sister-in-law was fine too. She wanted to play games instead of the elder sister. Brother-in-law, do you want to play around? Qin Yutong turned her head around and shouted. Yihua, who was in a bad mood, walked into the door and turned on a machine. Qin Yutong laughed. Brother-in-law, my big sister isn't easy to deal with, right? Sigh, this time, not only did she ask for a divorce, even the children had been decided by her. Yihua said faintly. Yi Zizi smiled and said, eldest Biaoga, eldest cousin-in-law is just jealous. Just coax her a little and she will be fine. Zizi, you're right. My sister is just jealous. The more you coax her, the more pleased she will be. Qin Yutong began the path of selling out her sister. Oh. Yutong, tell me about it. If it works, this brother-in-law will reward you. Hearing that there was a reward, Qin Yutong immediately became excited. Brother-in-law, just do this. Ignore my sister for the next few days. Once you've aroused her interest, find an opportunity to spank her. I guarantee it will work. Qin Yutong wanted to drag her big sister into the pit as well. I have been beaten up by Yihua quite a few times, and I also want my big sister to be beaten up. Zizi also thinks so. Big cousin, believe us, we are women. Yihua nodded his head. Let's start a game first. Although he was playing a game, Yihua was still thinking about it. I'll try out my sister-in-law's method first. Perhaps it will really work. After playing for a while, Yihua returned to the bedroom and looked at his daughter, who was sleeping soundly on the bed. Only Ali is my little cotton-padded jacket, and the others are all troublesome. After taking a shower, he held his daughter in his arms. Ali, who was sleeping, also hugged her father tightly, and the corners of her mouth curled up into a smile. She even stuck out her little tongue and licked the corner of her mouth, as if she had eaten something good. It would be perfect if Qinyo was by Dong Huang Baiji's side. As for Dong Huang Baiji, if she was able to learn even half of what Qinyo was capable of, there would still be a spot for her on this bed. Otherwise, it would be impossible for me to let you get on my bed. Even if you beg me, it would be useless. Early morning. A ray of sunlight passed through the window and shone into the bedroom. Daddy, daddy, time to wake up. Hearing his daughter's call, a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth. Why doesn't Ali sleep for a while longer? Ali always wakes up very early because she needs to study. Daddy, don't you need to study? Yihua smiled. Daddy will teach Ali cultivation techniques in the future. Yay, Ali likes Daddy the most. After finished speaking, Ali kissed onto Yihua's cheek, causing Yihua to laugh out loud. This is the feeling of having a bloodline, causing me to feel so happy. Let's go, Daddy will bring Ali to eat Chinese jianbing. Yihua carried his daughter and got off the bed. Dong Wangli was confused. Daddy, what is Chinese jianbing? Ali will know when she sees it later on. However, right now, she needs to brush her teeth and wash her face first. Li knows how to brush her teeth and wash her face. Daddy, I will help you squeeze some toothpaste. At this moment, Yihua's heart was about to be turned upside down by little Ali. After the father and daughter pair finished washing up, they put on their clothes and walked out of the room. Daddy, I forgot to ask you, where did Mommy go? Dong Wangli was a bit embarrassed. After having a daddy, she nearly forgot about her mommy. Yihua said faintly, your mommy isn't willing to sleep with us, so she went downstairs to sleep. How can mommy be like this? Mommy should be sleeping with daddy. My daughter is still the most sensible. When they walked downstairs, Yihua and Dong Wangli looked at the living room stupidly. Not a single chair in the living room was in good condition, and all of the paintings on the wall were torn and fell onto the ground. If Wei Chang were to see this scene, he would definitely go crazy. After all, those paintings were paintings that Wei Chang had collected for 5 years. Dong Wang Baiji could be seen lying on the ground and sleeping. Dong Wangli ran over and pushed her mother. "Mommy, wake up." Dong Huang Baiji, who was in a daze, opened her eyes and looked at her daughter who was in front of her. Dong Huang Baiji immediately hugged her daughter tightly into her embrace. "Ali, Mommy, why are you sleeping here? Why aren't you sleeping with Daddy?" Dong Wangli asked curiously. Dong Huang Baiji looked at her daughter and said tenderly, "Because Mommy doesn't like Daddy, so we can't sleep together." "If the two of you don't sleep together, how did Ali come to be?" There was nothing wrong with what Dong Huang Baiji said. Even Yihua was amused by what Dong Huang Baiji said. "Ali, you have to call me mother, you can't call me mommy." "No, Ali has to call me mommy. Mommy sounds nice," Dong Huangli said coquettishly, causing Dong Huang Baiji to be helpless. Yihua felt that it was about time and shouted out lightly, "Ali, Daddy will bring you to eat breakfast." Dong Huangli could be seen running into Yihua's embrace, causing Dong Huang Baiji to be stupefied. "Even my daughter has defected to the enemy. Mommy, let's go and eat breakfast together." Dong Huangli shouted towards her mother. Dong Huang Baiji didn't reply, because she knew that Yihua wouldn't let her off. "Let's go together then," Yihua said faintly. After finished speaking, Yihua brought Ali and walked out of the house. Dong Huang Baiji touched the air wall, and found that the air wall was gone. "Later on, I will carry my daughter and run. However, how many steps can I run? I will still be caught by Yihua." Letting out a sigh, Dong Huang Baiji followed after Yihua. At this moment, inside the office on the second floor, Qingya didn't sleep at all. Qingya was currently standing by the window and looking at the blue sky. Suddenly, she saw 3 figures appearing in the alleyway, and hot tears immediately flowed out of her eyes. "This liar, big liar. I will never forgive him in this life." Yihua naturally knew that Qingya was looking at them from above. This was also what Qingya's sister-in-law said. If not, why did he call Dong Huang Baiji out? To act cool? Chapter 217. Today, the auntie's business was very good. There was even a long queue of more than 10 people. When these 10+ people saw that Yihua was carrying a child, and there was even a woman that was as cold as ice following behind him, their eyeballs almost popped out. Empress's demeanor was promising. Dong Huangli seemed to be very shy when facing everyone's gaze, and she buried her head into Yihua's embrace. Such an action caused everyone to reveal out a smile. Dong Huangli is truly an adorable child. While hugging onto his daughter, Yihua stood at the end of the line and waited patiently. Dong Huang Baiji wrinkled her brows. As an empress, when had she ever queued up before, and everyone had to make way for her? Dong Huang Baiji could be seen walking straight towards the front of the group. However, before she even took a single step, Yihua said gravely, "What are you doing?" Dong Huang Baiji turned her head around and took a glance at Yihua, seemingly as if she was asking, "Do you still need to queue up for such a thing? Come back." Yihua said faintly. This woman really doesn't have any quality at all, and she actually dares to cut the queue. If word of this were to spread out, I, the Supreme Overlord, would be losing face. In actuality, Yihua had also tried to cut the queue at the start. As a Supreme Overlord, how could he possibly line up with a bunch of humans? In the end, this auntie didn't give him any face and refused to do it. She had a bad temper. If it wasn't for the fragrance of your fruit pancake, I would have flipped the stall. Dong Huangli secretly shouted out, "Mommy, quickly come back. Don't cut the queue." Dong Huang Baiji felt as if she had just received 100,000 damage. Not only was she taught a lesson by Yihua, her skills were inferior to Yihua's, and now, even her daughter has started to betray Dong Huang Baiji. Most of the people in the queue were boys, and they were rushing to work. But when they saw such a beauty, not to mention cutting the queue, they would do anything. "Beauty, I know you're in a hurry. I'll give my seat to you." Yes, it's not easy. These men, they can't move their eyes away when they see a beauty. Some girls despise this kind of man. If an ugly girl tried it, it would definitely not be like this. Even Dong Huangli felt embarrassed. "Mommy, quickly come back, we need to follow the order. Look, even Ali knows about this. What are you standing there foolishly for? Come over. Yihua shook his head. Even Qinya wouldn't do such a thing. Dong Wang Baiji's face was red from anger, and in an instant, her beauty was peerless. Even so, she didn't look embarrassed at all. She turned around like an empress with an extraordinary demeanor. Seeing how Dong Wang Baiji was able to act to such an extent, Yihua could be said to be convinced. Look at how you behaved just now, how improper. Yihua began to teach Ling Lan. He had to start from the most basic aspect of being a person. Of course, Dong Huangli was going to speak up for her mommy. Daddy, don't blame mommy. Mommy has always been living alone, and furthermore, she didn't go out at all. It's hard for her to not be sensible. Dong Wang Baiji, Yihua caressed onto his daughter's face, even Ali is more sensible than mommy, so obedient. Dong Wang Baiji almost couldn't hold herself back anymore. This pair of father and daughter are teaming up to bully me, don't you think I'm angry? If it wasn't for the fact that they were outside, he would have definitely scolded them. Endure it. Maintain the aura of an empress. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, it was finally Yihua's turn. The auntie had already seen Yihua long ago, and she was just curious as to why there was a little girl and another beautiful woman with him today. Just that, this beautiful woman looked very familiar. 6 fruit jianbing, one of them with eggs and sausages. Yihua said faintly while carrying his daughter. Daddy, Ali also wants eggs and sausages. Right now, Dong Huangli wanted whatever her daddy wanted, and she wanted it as well. Yihua smiled faintly. Is Ali able to eat all of them? Dong Huangli rubbed onto her stomach, and Ali's stomach is able to contain all of them. 2 it is then. Yihua said to the auntie. The auntie that made the pancakes cried out in surprise. I remember now. 3 years ago, you were standing here every morning. Dong Huang Baiji wrinkled her brows and didn't reply. Yihua and Dong Huangli immediately looked towards Dong Huang Baiji. Mommy, were you peeping at Daddy? Dong Huangli asked naively. A small knife stabbed onto Dong Huang Baiji's chest. At the very least, you have been standing here for more than 10 days. The auntie added. Dong Huangli had a surprised look on her face. Wow, so mommy secretly likes Daddy. Another small knife stabbed onto Dong Huang Baiji's chest. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji didn't feel good at all. Back then, I was standing here because I was angry. I wasn't secretly in love. Yihua rubbed onto the child and said faintly, Ali, it is normal for mommy to have this kind of reaction. After all, Daddy is indeed very attractive. And Daddy is the most handsome, mommy is even mesmerized by him. Stab Dong Huang Baiji's heart was stabbed by an invisible knife. Young man, is this your daughter? The auntie asked curiously. Without waiting for Yihua to speak, Dong Huangli said with a smile, Hello grandma, my name is Dong Huangli. He is my daddy, and she is my mommy. Young man, being fickle isn't a good thing. The auntie started preaching again. Yihua was only able to continue listening to the auntie's preaching. Of course, Yihua would refute the auntie's preaching, for example, right now, fickle? That doesn't exist, this is my new wife, the other one is currently sleeping at home. If this isn't fickle, then what is it? Who is your new wife? Pay attention to your words. Dong Huang Baiji finally couldn't bear it anymore and spoke out to refute. Dong Huangli clapped her hands and said with a smile, Is mommy going to be a bride? Ali is so happy. Ali, don't speak. Dong Huang Baiji stopped Ali. Dong Huangli pouted her mouth, then replied with an, oh, then buried her head into her daddy's bosom pitifully. The auntie sighed, You youngsters, don't let the child bear the responsibility for the mistake. After all, the child is innocent. What the auntie said was reasonable. Yihua and Dong Huang Baiji didn't refute. Little Ali smiled towards the auntie, then hid back into her bosom. After waiting for quite a while, Yihua walked back with the piping hot Chinese jianbing, while Ali began eating it. Take it. Yihua extended the bag in front of Donghuang Baiji. I'm not taking it. As my woman, don't you even understand this bit of rules? Yihua said gravely. This is too unruly. Sorry, I'm not your woman. Dong Huangli asked curiously, if mommy isn't daddy's woman, then whose woman is mommy? Ali, don't speak. Yihua was a lot calmer now, then said faintly, Dong Huang Baiji, you better listen to me as soon as possible. Dong Huangli, who was in Yihua's bosom, nodded her head and didn't speak. Wishful thinking. Yihua didn't pay attention to Ali. After returning to Leisure Bar, he once again locked Dong Huang Baiji up, then took the breakfast and went upstairs. 2 of the breakfast were given to Dong Huang Baiji, who was playing games, and the 2 of them still haven't woken up yet. Standing at the entrance of the office, Yihua opened the door and entered the office. Qinya could be seen curling up on the sofa just like how she did last night, looking very pitiful. Yihua's heart ached when he saw that. It's time to wake up and eat breakfast. Yihua shouted lightly. Qinya's voice was still choking with emotions. I don't have any appetite, you can leave. Chapter 218. Get out of here. Qinya roared. Her roar made everyone worried, but also made everyone's heart ache. Yihua had no choice but to leave with his brows creased while holding onto the piping hot fruit jianbing in his hand. Walking down the stairs, Dong Huang Baiji and Dong Huangli could be seen sitting together. The 2 of them were chatting and laughing. You feed me, I feed you. Ali, come over. Yihua shouted faintly. Dong Huangli rushed into Yihua's embrace like a little bird. This made Dong Huang Baiji feel very jealous. Why is my daughter so clingy to daddy? She wasn't like this in the past. Reporting to daddy, Ali is here. Yihua was very happy and said tenderly, Ali, can you help daddy out? And go and pass this fruit jianbing to Aunt Qing. She is angry right now and doesn't want to eat it. Ali's mission is to think of a way to make Aunt Qing eat it. Yihua felt sorry towards Qinya. Dong Huangli patted on her chest. Daddy, don't worry, Ali will definitely make Aunt Qing eat it. Go ahead. Dong Huangli took the fruit jianbing and ran to the 2nd floor. Yihua let out a sigh of relief. I hope that Qinya won't be stubborn for the sake of the child. It is normal for her to be angry. I was also very angry back then and couldn't eat for a few days. Dong Huang Baiji said faintly while sitting like an empress. Yihua came to Dong Huang Baiji's side and sat beside her. He lit up a cigarette and said, seems like you still can't forget about me. Why didn't you come and look for me after you got Ali? Dong Huang Baiji sneered, I have my dignity too, I will take care of Ali myself, you don't need to worry about me. Fortunately, my Ali found me, otherwise, you will be in for a good time. Humph. Shameless man. Yihua said gravely, if you want to be locked up here forever, you can scold me however you want. You are a bastard. Bastard. Yihua's expression turned cold. He dragged Dong Huang Baiji over and placed her on his lap. Dong Huang Baiji's expression changed greatly. My spiritual power is sealed, I am just like an ordinary person, how can I be this man's opponent? What are you doing? Pa. Ah. Yihua slapped onto that perky buttocks and said gravely, don't think that I don't dare to teach you a lesson, I heard that you made my daughter kneel on the keyboard. I'll make you kneel on the keyboard one day. Bastard, let me go. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out loudly. She could feel a burning sensation coming from her butt. This bastard is so heavy-handed. While smoking, Yihua raised and lowered his hand. Dong Huang Baiji, you better be clear about the facts. Since you are already here, you should properly be my woman and stop thinking about useless things. Scram. I will be your woman for the rest of my life. Dong Huang Baiji did not fear Yihua's threat and shouted out angrily. However, Yihua liked this kind of stubborn woman. If she were to admit defeat right away, it would be meaningless. Immediately, a symphony started ringing out in the hall. However, Dong Huang Baiji did not make a single sound and endured it. After a short while, Yihua gave up on this move, as it was useless against her. That's all for today. If you dare to offend your superiors again, I won't let you off lightly. Yihua. I hate you. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out coldly with red eyes. Back then, you were the one who was heartless, and now, you want to do this to me? Do you think that I, Dong Huang Baiji, am the kind of woman who comes and goes as you please? Looking at Yihua walking up the stairs, Dong Huang Baiji tightly wrinkled her brows and touched her butt. So painful. Dong Huang Li, who was walking up the stairs with a Chinese jianbing, stealthily opened the door and saw that Aunt Qing was lying on the sofa. Dong Huang Li felt very sad in her heart. It's all my fault. If not, Daddy wouldn't have fallen out with Aunt Qing. Get out. Qingya shouted out coldly. Aunt Qing, it's me, Ali. Dong Huang Li was startled by Qingya and said with grievance. Qingya went into a daze, then turned her head around and looked towards the door. As expected, it was only little Ali. Qingya said embarrassedly. Ali, Aunt Qing didn't shout at you on purpose just now. Towards Dong Huang Li, Qingya did not feel any resentment towards her. After all, children are innocent. Furthermore, I like Ali, she is a very sensible little girl. Aunt Qing, I'm sorry, it was Ali's appearance that made you and Daddy angry. The clever Dong Huang Li began laying the groundwork. That pitiful expression on her face made it seem as if she had to take responsibility for everything that was wrong. Qingya tenderly hugged onto Dong Huang Li, then said faintly, Ali, this is not your fault, all of the faults are your daddy's fault. Dong Huang Li stretched out her small hand and wiped away the tears that were at the corner of Qingya's eyes. Aunt Qing, Ali still wants to apologize to you. Silly child, you did not do anything wrong, it is Aunt's own fault. Qingya squeezed out a trace of a smile. Dong Huang Li pursed her small mouth. Aunt Qing, Daddy punished Mommy to sleep in the living room last night. In actuality, Dong Huang Li understood that one shouldn't think that children are easy to be deceived. Hearing that, Qingya went into a daze for a moment. I thought that Daddy and Daddy would sleep together, but I didn't expect that they didn't. Yesterday, Daddy and Ali slept together, and Daddy was even calling out Aunt Qing's name in his dreams. If Yihua were to hear what his daughter said, he would definitely shout out 666. As expected of my biological daughter, she knows how to help Daddy. Qingya didn't say anything, but it was clear that her expression was getting a bit better, and her beautiful face became more relaxed. Aunt Qing, quickly eat some, if not you will get hungry. Seeing that it was about time, Dong Huang Li took out the Chinese jianbing that was in her hand. How about Ali feed Aunt Qing this? This jianbing is super delicious, Ali is already very full now. Ali is so obedient, and can do it myself. Qingya was finally moved by little Ali. Originally, she was planning to go on a hunger strike to protest against Yihua's actions. Fortunately, Dong Huang Li stood up for Yihua, which made Qingya feel a bit more comfortable. After all, Yihua didn't really like explaining things to others. Seeing that Qingya had started eating, Dong Huang Li rubbed onto Qingya's stomach. Aunt Qing, is Ali going to become a big sister? Qingya laughed bitterly, then said forcefully, in another 8 months, Ali will become a big sister. That's great, Ali is finally not lonely anymore. Looking at Dong Huang Li, who was clapping her hands happily, Qingya went silent. If there wasn't a child, I wouldn't have interacted with Yihua, and the feelings that I have with Yihua are also born from the child. Right now, Qingya didn't know what she should do. Should I go and ask Yutong and see what she thinks about this matter? What Qingya didn't know was that Qing Yutong had already changed sides a long time ago. Seeing that Aunt Qing had started eating, Dong Huang Li felt that she had completed her mission perfectly, and happily left the house to report this good news. After Yihua heard it, he finally let out a breath of relief. Towards Qingya, Yihua didn't want to use forceful methods, because he knew that Qingya wasn't the kind of person who would be amenable to coaxing but not coercion. This family conflict still needs to be slowly mediated, and right now, I can only hope that my daughter will be able to act as a bridge and properly communicate with them. Chapter 219. Zijin City. Location, Shao Family Mansion. The same location, the mansion's hall. At this moment, Xiao Yi's face was pale as he sat in a wheelchair. He was on a drip and looked very weak. Behind her stood her two beautiful wives, Shu Nan and the pregnant Yu Qi. The two of them accompanied her with concern, their beautiful eyes filled with endless worry. On the mahogany chair below, Tang Wushuang was currently sipping on a cup of tea. There was a trace of peculiarity in his expression. If one didn't observe carefully, it would be very hard to notice. Big Brother Xiao, the current situation is not very optimistic. I feel that Big Brother Xiao should retreat for now. Tang Wushuang was struggling in his heart. Xiao Yi had done me a favor, but for the sake of the entire family's benefits, and also for personal reasons, if Xiao Yi gave him the Xianyuan sword, that would be for the best. It would prevent a scene of brothers turning against each other. He could only hope that Xiao Yi could see the current situation clearly. How did the aristocratic families decide? Xiao Yi asked weakly, but there was a hint of sadness in the depths of his eyes. He didn't need to think too much to know why his good brother had come. Tang Wushuang let out a breath, then placed the teacup on the table. This time around, when the people from the north went to snatch it, the aristocratic families from the south used this as an excuse and filed a lawsuit against the north. Furthermore, the two big shots from the south are also supporting them from the back. The fact that the north didn't respond to the lawsuit, I'm afraid that they tacitly agreed to it. So in order to avoid a large-scale death, both sides reached an agreement. What agreement? Xiao Yi asked in a deep voice. It was hard for Tang Wushuang to say it out loud. After a long while, he said, the southern clans will choose 3 clan heads to come to the north to snatch it, but they can't bring anyone along. Whether we can seize it or not will depend on the abilities of the 3 patriarchs. Do you have any requests for the northern family? Tang Wushuang shook his head. If I had a request, I wouldn't be sitting here. Actually, to the aristocratic families, this matter was not important. The South was fighting for their face, and they fought for this fair and square counterattack. The aristocratic families in the north did not have any rules, so they definitely had the intention of protecting them. Of course, this wasn't to protect the Shao family, but rather to protect the ancient godly item from falling into the hands of the southerners. After all, if the ancient godly item was really snatched away by the southerners, it would be a great humiliation. As for the target of the fight, it went without saying that it was Xiao Yi's Xianyuan sword. Everyone knew that Xiao Yi had been injured in the battle against the black-robed man. It was very simple to take advantage of his weakness. It was irrational to rob the Bai clan. After all, Bai Ci was very eccentric. There was also Wang Debao, the king of luck. Xiao Yi slowly closed his eyes and said, it seems like they plan to wash my Xiao family in blood. Big Brother Xiao, the Xianyuan sword is a hot potato now. As long as you don't have the Xianyuan sword, they won't do anything to you. After all, their target is the ancient godly item, not Big Brother Xiao. Xiao Yi opened his eyes, revealing a deathly aura. Wushuang, what do you think Big Brother should do? That was what he wanted to hear. Tang Wushuang's body slightly leaned forward, and it could be seen just how much he longed for it right now. This minute movement was seen by Xiao Yi very clearly. Big Brother Xiao, now all the small clans and rich merchants have announced that they are staying away from you. The situation is very bad. If you trust Wushuang, you can give the Xianyuan sword to Wushuang for safekeeping. Wushuang will definitely protect you. In actuality, Tang Wushuang had thought of many kinds of methods. Not only would he be able to obtain the Xianyuan sword, but he would also be able to not destroy the friendship between them. This was the only method he could try. However, when the time came, he would definitely be lectured by his master. If it was 10 days ago, Xiao Yi might have handed over Xianyuan's sword without holding anything back, but now, that was impossible. He could even see the intention of this brotherly man. The Xian Yuan sword was an ancient godly item. There was no need to talk about its might. For it to be able to contend against the Death Mage's Scythe of Death, it was even able to leave a dent in the Scythe of Death. From this, it could be seen just how powerful the Xian Yuan sword was. Who wouldn't want to possess such an ancient godly item? If the aristocratic families didn't set a limit on the number of ancient godly items that they could possess, they would have come to snatch it long ago. Among all swords, the Xian Yuan sword was the king. It was an ancient godly item that even aristocratic families wanted to possess. Tang Wushuang's words were indeed pleasant to hear. He said that he would temporarily keep it for safekeeping. Most probably, once he went there would be no possibility of him taking it back. Xiao Yi sighed and said, "Wushuang, back then when I snatched this Xian Yuan sword, it was fortunate that you were there to help me restrain the enemy." Hearing what Xiao Yi said, Tang Wushuang was delighted in his heart. But the Xian Yuan sword is the symbol of our Xiao family. The Xiao clan is no longer the Xiao clan. Wushuang, you should understand what I mean. Xiao Yi didn't want to point it out. He only wanted Tang Wushuang to give up on the thought of snatching the Xian Yuan sword. If that's the case, then we can still continue being brothers. However, Tang Wushuang didn't think so. Back then, if it wasn't for me helping you, you wouldn't have been able to snatch Xian Yuan's sword. Even at this time, you still want to protect it. Do you really not trust me that much? The more Tang Wushuang thought about it, the more he was unwilling to accept it. Originally, Xiao family and Tang family were on the same starting line, and it was because Xiao family snatched Xian Yuan's sword that their momentum overshadowed Tang family. Everyone thought that he was Xiao Yi's lackey, a hired thug. After all, when he was weak, brother Xiao had helped him out. However, even at this time, he is still protecting the sword. Tang Wushuang was furious. He thought to himself, what teacher said is right, on the path of power, there are only benefits. Big brother Xiao, if you still don't make a decision now, when they come, Wushuang won't be able to help you anymore. Tang Wushuang's brows wrinkled tightly, and his tone actually carried a threatening tone. This made Xiao Yi very hurt. This world was filled with all kinds of benefits and temptations. Originally, he thought that Tang Wushuang would be able to walk with him to the end, but in the end, Tang Wushuang was still unable to endure the temptation of Xian Yuan's sword. Wushuang, brother Xiao appreciates your kind intentions, but you should just do what you have to do. Xiao Yi sighed. Today is probably the day when we fall out with each other. Yo, young Master Tang, you came so early, why didn't you call your brother along? A young man could be seen walking in from outside the door. He was wearing a white singlet, and his explosive muscles were exposed, looking very sexy. The full beard on his face added a sense of manliness, and his facial features were very pleasant to look at. This man's name was Ling Tian, and he was the head of the Ling family in the northeast. The purpose of him coming here was very obvious. Xian Yuan's sword. From there, he would obtain the qualification to be promoted to an aristocratic family. Speaking of which, this Ling Tian and Xiao Yi had interacted before. Back then, they also helped each other out. Just that, they were not in the same city, so their relationship wasn't very close. So it's Ling Tian who came, quickly take a seat. Shu Nan, serve the tea. Although Xiao Yi had a smile on his face, he felt uncomfortable in his heart. Other than Tang Wushuang, Ling Tian could also be considered as a friend. However, he didn't expect that a disaster would occur. It was fine if a normal friend left, but a good brother and a good friend also changed sides. This was a test, and the test was all about human nature. Brother Xiao, sister-in-law. Ling Tian cupped his hands, and didn't reveal the purpose of him coming here. Shu Nan smiled gently. Ling Tian, quickly take a seat. All right, sister-in-law. Ling Tian appeared to be very forthright, forming a clear contrast with Tang Wushuang's expression. After drinking the tea that Shu Nan served, Ling Tian smiled and said, "Good tea, it's much better than the tea at home." Yu Qi laughed, "If you feel that it's good, I can prepare a few packets for you to bring back." Sister-in-law, don't, I am a rough person, and I was just pretending just now. In actuality, it's so bitter, it would be a waste to give it to me. Ling Tian laughed loudly, and the tense atmosphere eased up a bit. After pausing for a moment, Ling Tian asked curiously, Brother Xiao, are your injuries all right? Chapter 220. Xiao Yi let out a deep sigh and squeezed out a smile. Thank you for your concern, Brother Ling Tian. My injuries won't heal in a short time. Ling Tian let out a heavy sigh. Brother Xiao, this won't do. I've received news that the Cloud sect in the south has been defeated. The Southern Alliance. Guang family. He's already on his way. After Xiao Yi heard this, he said softly, Yun sect master Sun Fang, Southern Alliance's High Daisi, Guang clan's Guang Tianlu, they really think highly of our Xiao clan. Ling Tian grinned. Xiao Yi didn't have a source of information and didn't know about this. He said, Big Brother Xiao, the sect leader of the Cloud sect has changed. The current sect leader is Sun Yi. Sun Yi? Xiao Yi really didn't know. He wasn't in the mood to investigate the south. Ling Tian nodded his head and said, I'll have to start from the ancient godly item. The previous sect master of the Cloud sect, Sun Fang, had an affair with the black robe. Tainted black robe. Xiao Yi was very shocked. That black robe is a skeleton, and Sun Fang is a human, and furthermore, she is a proud woman of the south. How could she possibly have an affair with a skeleton? Does this skeleton have any special skills? This news has already been confirmed. On that day when we were fighting over the ancient godly item, the black robe had appeared with Sun Fang, and the actions of the two of them were especially, alluring. This black robe is also an expert, to actually be able to woo the southern girl, Sun Fang. Speaking up to here, Ling Tian was also endlessly envious. That Sun Fang's appearance is top-notch. However, hearing that the black-robed man was so terrifying, this Sun Fang's brain must have been damaged. Sun Fang was overthinking things. Right now, she was very happy. She could play some games, poke some skeletons, and have a bunch of winners listening to her commands. This was much more interesting than being a sect master. Of course, the reason why she was able to obtain her current position was because of Yi Hua. It could be given, but it could also be taken back. This was the so-called deciding a person's fate with a single thought. Just like the current Xiao Yi, the reason why Yi Hua gave Xiao Yi his life was because he hoped that Xiao Yi would not receive his bento so quickly. Don't think that this is charity, this is Yi Hua's understanding of human nature. Okay, this is charity. His life was given by Yi Hua, so of course, he could take it back as well. It all depended on how strong Xiao Yi's comprehension was and whether he could achieve Yi Hua's goal in this crisis. Xu Nan and Yu Qi were also quite shocked. Everyone was present that day, and they had an innate fear of Black Robe. Now that they heard that Black Robe had an affair with a southern lady, their worldview was overturned. Skeletons and people? Humans and animals? Right now, Tang Wushuang didn't say anything. Although the Black Robe was powerful, his teacher had also said that he would be able to defeat the Black Robe. Therefore, there was nothing for him to worry about. However, there were a lot of things that Tang Wushuang didn't know. You know nothing of your enemy. However, he had no idea who the real enemy was. Xianyuan's sword? This was just bait. 9 demons punishing tower? In Yihua's eyes, Wang Debao was just a black iron. The reason why Yihua threw Wang Debao to Wang Debao was because Wang Debao was a trustworthy person, and his main purpose was to frame Yihua. However, Wang Debao happily ran back to Yihua and fawned upon Yihua. All of this was under Yihua's control. If there wasn't a family dispute, I would definitely want to admire this process right now. After all, he was the one who directed it. How could he not appreciate his work? Xiao Yi on the main seat was silent. 3 from the south. There were 2 of them. And this was only on the surface. Who knew how many of them were hiding in the dark? It seemed like a bloody battle was going to happen today. At this moment, 3 silhouettes appeared in the sky, flying rapidly towards the Shao clan mansion. Swish swish swish. The 3 of them were precisely Sun Yi, Hai Daisy, and Guang Tianlu, who rushed over from the south. The 3 of them were fearless. After all, the higher-ups had given the order, other than the owner of the ancient godly item, no one is allowed to harm the 3 of them. Although it was the promise made by the aristocratic families in the north, who knows if the aristocratic families would make a move on the 3 of them. Therefore, the aristocratic families in the south didn't dare to rashly make a decision. However, some people liked to take risks. After the 3 of them landed, they cupped their hands towards Shao Yi. Shao family head, I trust that you have been well since we last met. Shao Yi smiled lightly. Those who came are guests. Shu Nan, serve tea. The 3 of them pondered for a while and sat down to observe the situation. However, they didn't drink the tea. Who knows if the tea was drugged or not. Hai Daisy didn't want to be long-winded and went straight to the point. Shao family head, I'm afraid that you already know the reason why we came here. Hand over Xianyuan's sword, and we can avoid a battle. What you all said is right, handing over Xianyuan's sword is indeed my choice, but I still want to take a gamble. Shao Yi waved his hand and gestured to Shu Nan and Yu Qi to leave. However, they seemed to be very worried. Sun Yi snorted coldly, then said while looking at Shao Yi, who was being injected with water, since Shao family head insists on doing this, then don't blame us. Shao Yi pulled out the needle and slowly stood up. Everyone was a big shot, and Shao Yi's current state was very weak. One finger could poke him to death. It's not convenient to fight here. Everyone, follow me, Shao Yi said indifferently and slowly flew out of Shao family mansion. Everyone followed behind him and didn't make things difficult for him. After all, they were here to steal ancient god items, not to exterminate a family. Shao Yi brought everyone to an open space. It was as if it had been baptized by an atomic bomb. It was clearly a forest, but there was not a single blade of grass growing within a few miles. This is the place where I fought against the Black Robe that night. Shao Yi's words caused everyone to gasp. Hearing about it was just hearing about it, but seeing it in person was another feeling. It wasn't that the people here couldn't do it, but it was very difficult unless it was a life and death situation. It seemed that Shao Yi was in a life and death situation that night, which also showed the power of Xianyuan's sword. Actually, the real battle wasn't the destruction of the scene, but the snap of a finger. All kinds of difficult and complicated diseases could be cured. The 3 of them were glad that Shao Yi was in a sick state, or else it would have been a little troublesome. Shao Yi clenched his fist and the golden Xianyuan sword appeared in his hand, emitting a dense aura. Seeing Shao Yi take out the Xianyuan sword, the breathing of the 3 quickened. Compared to the 9 demons punishing Pagoda, the Xianyuan sword was much more attractive. Tang Wushuang took a deep breath, then silently walked to the side, expressing his attitude. Shao Yi took a look. He wasn't disappointed, but he felt pained. Ling Tian hesitated with a heavy expression, as though he was struggling with the devil in his heart. Ling Tian, I, Shao Yi, don't regret being friends with you. It's time to make a choice. Shao Yi used the Xianyuan sword to support his body. However, at this moment, Sun Yi's slender hand trembled, and a sharp sword appeared in her hand. With a fierce sword chi, she attacked Shao Yi with a speed that would leave people speechless. Anyone who could become the Grandmaster of the Cloud sect was no pushover. Shao Yi's face sank. The wind from the sword energy caused Shao Yi's clothes to flutter and his face to hurt. He gripped the Xianyuan sword tightly in his hand. Good timing. I, Shao Yi, have been holding back my anger for far too long. The pain of losing my wife, the pain of begging others, every second is torturing me. This emperor has commanded the winds and clouds for 1,000 years, but I never thought that I would fall after my rebirth. Since that's the case, I shall let all of you experience the pain of angering an immortal emperor. However, just when Shao Yi was about to move his sword, a large hand suddenly grabbed the sword. Ling Tian's weapons were all parts of his body. Xiao Yi looked at Ling Tian, who was at the side, and Ling Tian looked at Xiao Yi with a smile. Chapter 221. In the face of imminent peril, Ling Tian did not find his conscience. Instead, he discovered that Xiao Yi was pretending. No wonder he was the act tough king. He was the one who taught him how to act tough in the past. Who would have thought that he would use this trick of pretending to be sick today? Amazing. He accepted this act of acting tough. With a shout, Sun Yi pulled out her sharp sword, causing sparks to fly in Ling Tian's palm. Brother Xiao. Today, we will fight with our backs against the wall. I do not wish to be born on the same day, but I wish to die on the same day. Ling Tian roared and a powerful aura spread out in all directions. Those who didn't know better would think that the two of them were gay friends. Ling Tian then patted Xiao Yi's shoulder. Don't worry, with me around, no one will dare to touch a single hair on Brother Zhao's head. He thought to himself, Brother Xiao will most probably be touched to death. That Tang Wushuang really doesn't have good eyesight. Brother Xiao is the act tough king, how could he let go of such a pretentious scene? Good brother. I'm going to take a break. Xiao Yi said in a deep voice, using the Shenyuan sword as a crutch. Brother Xiao, I'm not joking. Don't scare me. I've already boasted about it. Otherwise, I'll be slapping my face. Hi Dicey. Go and stall Ling Tian. Guang Tian Road. You and I will launch a pincer attack on Xiao Yi. Sun Yi shouted. Guang Tianle frowned, and 3 cards instantly appeared on her slender fingers, radiating with a red glow. Ice-bone dragon. As the 3 cards were thrown out, 3 ice-bone dragons were instantly condensed. This kind of bone dragon was not ordinary. Its skeleton seemed to be made of ice and had sharp ice thorns. Roar. The 3 huge ice-bone dragons faced the sky and roared. The bursts of dragon roars made people exclaim in admiration. Guang Tianlu threw out another 3 cards and imprinted them on the 3 ice skeletal dragons. Golden light flashed, and when the ice-bone dragon reappeared, its skeleton was actually wearing a set of golden armor, looking very majestic. Coupled with its huge body, it was even more frightening. As expected of the Southern Guang family's patriarch. Crafty card player 6. Sun Yi was not to be outdone. Although the Clouds sect was known for their sword arts, the secret scripture that the Clouds sect had was not sword arts, but rather, Thousand Mountains Sovereign Guide. Chasing after Sun Yi let out a delicate shout, and a huge amount of spiritual energy gushed out from her body, covering the entire ground. Boom! With a muffled sound, a huge crack appeared on the ground, and a giant claw emerged from the ground. It was followed by another giant claw, then the head, and then the entire body. The aura he emitted made everyone suck in a breath of cold air. An ancient divine beast. Ling Tian let out a cry of surprise. This lady actually summoned an ancient divine beast. How was this possible? Not only was Ling Tian dumbfounded, apart from Sun Yi herself, everyone else was dumbfounded. To actually summon an ancient mythological beast, this should be the foundation of the Cloud sect. This woman was really willing to part with it. If the sect was not in a life and death situation, they would definitely not reveal their trump cards. Who would have thought that for the sake of an ancient godly item, they would even bring out an ancient divine beast? What a waste. Xiao Yi looked at the ancient divine beast in front of him with a solemn expression. This beast looked a bit like a Tyrannosaurus rex, but the difference was that it had 2 heads and 4 limbs. Its 4 eyes were even more frightening, they even contained a hint of confusion. The black scales on its body wriggled slowly, looking extremely disgusting. As expected of an ancient divine beast. Thousand Mountains Sovereign Guide. However, Xiao Yi had never seen Ing family's heavy dust before. Compared to heavy dust, this ancient divine beast was much skinnier, just like a newborn baby. For the 3 big shots to be able to hold their positions, they naturally had their own trump cards. However, Ying family's trump cards were all suppressed by Yi Hua's absolute strength. Big brother Xiao, quickly leave, I will take care of things here. Ling Tian's current appearance was just like a child who was asking for a red packet during Chinese New Year. At this moment, Xiao Yi's entire aura was ignited, and a powerful spiritual energy swept out like raging waves. Rumbling sounds rang out between heaven and earth. Immediately, dark clouds covered the sky, and thunder rumbled. Right now, Xianyuan's sword seemed to have sensed its master's anger, and a powerful sword qi burst out from it. The sword qi actually fused together with Xiao Yi's spiritual energy, and the huge amount of energy that was produced actually caused cracks to appear on the ice-bone dragon's armor. Tang Wushuang's face turned black. I didn't expect that brother Xiao was pretending to be sick. He is actually fine, and his strength seems to be even more ferocious than before. Ling Tian, you step back, I will be fine alone. The current Xiao Yi seemed to have returned to the past, the time when he was in control of life and death. Ling Tian was overjoyed. Big brother Xiao is indeed starting to act cool, as expected of the act-tough King Xiao. Hi Dicey, what are you still looking at? Sun Yi shouted. The current Xiao Yi seems to be much stronger than I imagined. But even at his peak, he didn't have this kind of strength. Of course, this was all thanks to Wei Chang's black fog. Not only did it save Xiao Yi's life, it also increased his strength. The current Xiao Yi should be able to play with Death Assassin. He still won't be able to face Death Mage, unless Death Mage goes for close combat again. As a big shot of the Southern Alliance, Hai Dicey definitely has the ability. Now that everyone has used their trump cards, I will also widen everyone's horizons. Hai Dicey can be seen drawing a spiritual formation in the air with his finger, then he slapped it down and shouted, everyone's invisibility technique. By other than Xiao Yi and the other two, all the humans and beasts disappeared. Xiao Yi's face sunk. This is not a simple invisibility technique, even their aura is hidden. The three big shots joining hands indeed gave Xiao Yi a headache. Xiao Yi summoned the black tortoise armor and said to Ling Tian who was beside him, I will remember today's favor, I will definitely repay you in the future. No need to be so polite, we are all family. Ling Tian had the intention to befriend Xiao Yi. If Xiao Yi managed to squeeze into the ranks of the aristocratic families, it would be good for his Ling family. Tang Wushuang who was at the side clenched his fists tightly. I didn't expect that I would be fooled by Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi, since you don't treat me as a brother, don't blame me for falling out with you. Xiao Yi who was on the battlefield held the Xianyuan sword in his hand and wore the black tortoise armor, looking exactly the same as when he fought against Death Mage. Immediately, a cold light came towards Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi hurriedly dodged, and when he turned around to look at the position he was at just now, it was filled with icicles. Without thinking too much, Xiao Yi dodged again, and the position he was at just now actually became a deep hole. Since I can't see it, then I will break it. Heaven's punishment sword formula, void break. Xiao Yi could be seen stabbing the Xianyuan sword into the ground, and the ground immediately started to boil like boiling water. A wave of spiritual energy started to gather in the Xianyuan sword. Boom! With Xiao Yi as the center, a wave of golden light spread out in a circular shape, and Sun Yi and the others who just disappeared were all revealed. Hai Dicey cried out involuntarily, you actually broke my special ability. Xiao Yi looked at Hai Dicey and sneered, there is no special ability that the Xianyuan sword cannot break. Next, I will let all of you witness the might of the Xianyuan sword. Xianyuan art, illumination. The Xianyuan sword instantly floated up into the sky, and Xiao Yi who was below immediately made a hand seal. The spiritual energy on his body became denser and denser, and within this spiritual energy, there was also a trace of black fog which was not very eye-catching. Puchi. Xiao Yi's face sunk, and he slowly lowered his head. A dagger that was emitting a cold light pierced through his chest, and the blade of the dagger was still dripping with his own blood. When he turned around to take a look, it was actually Tang Wushuang. Xiao Yi had calculated everything, but he didn't expect that Tang Wushuang would actually kill him. Sneak attack. In actuality, Xiao Yi was still worried about Tang Wushuang's resentment. Xiao Yi thought that Tang Wushuang would fight against him openly, but he didn't expect that Tang Wushuang would actually sneak attack him. Furthermore, this dagger shouldn't be an ordinary item, as it was actually able to pierce through armor. This dagger was borrowed by Tang Wushuang's teacher, and it was an unremarkable ancient godly item. Tang Wushuang had to return it to Tang Wushuang. Chapter 222. The sudden sneak attack stunned everyone. Everyone knew that the relationship between Xiao Yi and Tang Wushuang wasn't bad. Even if the relationship between Xiao Yi and Tang Wushuang had fallen out, it wouldn't be to the extent of sneak attacking Tang Wushuang from behind, right? After all, sneak attacking Tang Wushuang in this kind of situation wasn't a glorious thing. With Tang Wushuang's way of doing things, even if he managed to obtain the Xian Yuan sword, he would still fail the aristocratic family's evaluation. There was a problem with the family head's way of doing things. Right now, Tang Wushuang's gaze was no longer on the Xian Yuan sword, he only wanted to kill this ungrateful brother of his. Tang Wushuang! Ling Tian shouted out angrily. He punched out with a ferocious momentum, and the vigorous spiritual energy turned into a giant golden fist. Tang Wushuang's expression turned serious. Pulling out his dagger, he clenched his right hand into a fist and actually punched towards the huge fist. Don't forget, Tang Wushuang is also very strong. Otherwise, the sneak attack wouldn't have gone so smoothly. He wasn't called the king of soldiers for nothing. Boom boom boom. A series of loud explosions rang out, and waves of astonishing spiritual energy swept out in all directions, causing everyone to exclaim in admiration. Sun Yi, Hai Daisi, and Guang Tianlu were delighted. This Tang Wushuang could be said to have helped them a lot. The Xianyuan sword in the sky lost control of Xiao Yi and stabbed straight into the ground. Sun Yi was the first to react, and she dashed towards the Xianyuan sword. Hai Daisi and Guang Tianlu who were at the back came back to their senses. They scolded him for being shameless and hurriedly rushed forward. Right now, Xiao Yi was forced back and powerlessly fell to the ground. Blood was gushing out from his chest, but if one looked at his body, they would see a black mist slowly healing. However, Xiao Yi's gaze was fixated on Tang Wushuang's back view. He didn't dare to believe that Tang Wushuang would do such a thing. Sun Yi's speed was extremely fast. She grabbed the hilt of the Xianyuan sword with her delicate hand and pulled it out fiercely. She laughed wildly and said, "The Xianyuan sword belongs to me, Sun Yi." Just as Sun Yi was rejoicing, the three ice-bone dragons charged at Sun Yi fiercely. Sun Yi snorted coldly and waved the Xianyuan sword in her hand. Suddenly, a golden light bloomed, and the three ice-bone dragons were forced to retreat. Guang Tian rode. "What are you trying to do?" Sun Yi questioned coldly. "Sect Master Sun, it's not appropriate for you to snatch it away just like that." Guang Tianlu's calm face revealed his anger. Sun Yi laughed delicately. "Guang Tianlu, when we came here, we already agreed that this Xianyuan sword would belong to whoever snatches it first." "Hai Daisi! What are you standing there for? Grab the sword." Guang Tianlu shouted at Hai Daisi, who was standing at the side. Another card appeared in his hand, and the three ice-bone dragons started to fuse. Their bodies fused together and transformed into three ice-bone dragon kings. Hai Daisi's expression was solemn, his hands quickly forming a seal, coldly shouting, "Ice roar." Huge blocks of ice instantly appeared around Sun Yi, and the surrounding temperature plummeted. Each block of ice contained a vast amount of spiritual qi. Sun Yi, who was in the middle of the formation, was facing the attacks of the two great forces. It seemed that she was not at ease. After all, she had just obtained the Xianyuan sword and did not have the time to decipher its mysteries. Under Guang Tianlu's control, Icebone Dragon King spewed out 3 streams of ice flame. Suddenly, the sky was covered with ice, and the sky that was originally covered with dark clouds was suddenly filled with a blizzard. Hai Daisy. Guang Tian Road. My Yin sect is irreconcilable with you. Hai Daisy sneered, Sun Yi. If you obediently hand over the Xianyuan sword, you can still be the sect leader. Otherwise, don't even think about it. The ancient divine beast at the side let out a loud roar, and the might of a divine beast attacked towards the two of them without holding back. The scales on its body actually left its body and flew towards the two of them like a swarm of bees. Hai Daisy and Guang Tianlu's expression tensed up, and they immediately used their martial arts to defend themselves. However, were the scales on the body of the ancient divine beast fake? Obviously not, and the two's defense was instantly destroyed. As expected of Yun Sect's foundation, it cannot be underestimated. Guang Tianlu had no choice but to control Icebone Dragon King to attack the ancient divine beast, and the pressure on Sun Fang instantly decreased by a lot. Hai Daisy. Go and die. Sun Fang used the Xianyuan sword in her hand to break through the formation, and pointed the sword at Hai Daisy. Hai Daisy was only a long-range metahuman, and he did not have strong close combat abilities like Death Mage. Thus, he could only choose to dodge. The two of them started a chase. Sun Yi was like a shrew, slashing with the Xianyuan sword, while Hai Daisy was like a bullied husband, dodging in all sorts of ways. Sun Fang, who was chasing after Hai Daisy, suddenly frowned. She felt a sense of danger. A silver needle that was flickering with a cold light pierced into the back of Sun Yi's hand, and she instantly felt numb. The Xianyuan sword in Sun Yi's hand fell onto the ground once again. A black silhouette passed through the air, and the Xianyuan sword that was on the ground instantly disappeared. The three of them stopped attacking each other at the same time and looked at the two people who were walking over from the sky. The back of Sun Yi's hand quickly turned purple. Not daring to be careless, Sun Yi hurriedly swallowed a pill, then sat cross-legged and started refining the pill. Guang Tianlu shouted out gravely, Saint Dr. Song Huang. Fu Xiu. Fu Xiu could be seen holding onto the Xianyuan sword. Seems like that black silhouette just now was him, and the person who was standing at the side with a smile on his face was precisely Saint Dr. Song Huang. With the title of killing people with his left hand and saving people with his right hand, the title of Saint Dr. Song Huang was extremely famous and resounded throughout the entire north. The only difference between Song Huang and Long Outyan was that one appeared earlier, while the other appeared later. One didn't run into Yi Hua, while the other ran into him. The silver needle just now was shot out by Song Huang, and the silver needle was smeared with deadly poison. Of course, Song Huang would not lick the silver needle himself. Meanwhile, Fu Xiu was just an ordinary family's patriarch. His strength was ordinary, but his speed was extremely fast. He was even able to travel through space while running. His ability was a bit overpowered. Fu Xiu could be seen cupping his hands towards Song Huang, who was standing at the side with a faint smile on his face. Thank you, Saint Doctor, for lending me a hand. Patriarch Fu is too courteous. Back then, you helped me. Today, I shall return the favor. Song Huang smiled faintly, appearing very amiable. However, only Sun Yi knew how vicious this Saint Doctor was. Song Huang looked at the Xianyuan sword. He didn't want to own the Xianyuan sword. He preferred to live a free and unfettered life. Since Patriarch Fu has gotten what he wanted, I will take my leave. Thank you. Just as Song Huang was about to leave, he suddenly frowned. It was the same for Fu Xiu. The Xianyuan sword in his hand was vibrating slightly. What was going on? He looked at Xiao Yi, who had fallen to the side. It seemed like he didn't have the strength to control the Xianyuan sword. What was going on? Everyone knew about Fu Xiu. As long as he took something away, it would be very difficult to get it back. After all, his speed was too fast, and there was no way to get it back unless someone was faster. Furthermore, Saint Dr. Song Huang was protecting him, making it even harder to snatch him back. The northern aristocratic families were going back on their words. Sun Yi and the other two were about to go mad from anger. However, the two of them did not leave in a hurry after snatching it. Their expressions were very strange. Fu Xiu. There is a problem with this Xianyuan sword, quickly throw it away. Song Huang shouted out hurriedly. Without thinking too much, Fu Xiu immediately tossed the Xianyuan sword in his hand out. When Guang Tianlu saw the Xianyuan sword that was in the air, he immediately controlled Ice Bone Dragon King to bite onto the Xianyuan sword. Xianyuan sword belongs to Guang family. Guang Tianlu had a happy look on his face, and he looked as if he was about to go crazy. However, everyone didn't look at Guang Tianlu. Instead, they looked at the Xianyuan sword that was in Ice Bone Dragon King's mouth. The body of the sword was trembling very intensely, as if it was being pulled by a powerful force. Boom! Chapter 223. Long and City, Leisure Bar. 10 minutes ago, Yi Hua was currently sitting on the sofa in his bedroom with both of his legs placed on the coffee table and silently smoking. The family conflict caused Yi Hua to suffer unspeakably. Both of my hands are flesh, what choice do I have? Impossible, how can I give up my woman? Even if I die, I have to pull her up and continue to be my woman. But these two women are really annoying, one wants to split the child, the other would rather die than submit. How can their personalities be so unyielding? They don't have the gentleness that a woman should have. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Suddenly, Wei Chang appeared behind Yi Hua and shouted out respectfully. What's the matter? Yi Hua asked faintly. Hearing his honor's tone, I can tell that his mood isn't very good. I am also very depressed. Xiao Tang is ignoring me today. How can Tang Wei not be angry? We can clearly live together, but suddenly, two non-mainstream people appeared. Uncle Wei's male chauvinism is too serious. Wei Chang said lightly, Your Honor, subordinate said that I left a bit of aura on Xianyuan's sword for your honor to play with, and now, the time is ripe. Oh, that Xiao Yi is going to die again? Yi Hua asked faintly. The situation isn't very optimistic, but he can still keep his life. Yi Hua shook his head. Seems like I overestimated this Xiao Yi, he can't even kill a few people. It is precisely because of this that his honor is able to play around. After all, his honor's mood isn't very good these few days, killing a few people can relieve your mood. Wei Chang bowed his body and laughed lightly. As a subordinate, I have to make my boss happy. If I were to use this kind of effort to treat Tang Wei would probably be touched to death and directly push Wei Chang down. Yi Hua sighed, but his mood isn't very good. I'll just play around then. Wei Chang, it seems like you understand me well. Then, subordinate will not disturb his honor's fun anymore, I will take my leave. After finished speaking, Wei Chang disappeared from the bedroom. Yi Hua waved his hand, then began searching for the aura that Wei Chang left behind. Very quickly, he found it. There aren't many people here, killing them won't be of any use. That Xiao Yi is just like a salted fish that is lying on the ground, I am truly disappointed. Yi Hua could be seen raising his hand and stretching out his index finger, intending to control Xianyuan's sword from a distance. Hee, this Xianyuan sword actually dares to resist, interesting, but in front of me, Xianyuan's sword. In just a few moments, Yi Hua had already infiltrated into the interior of Xianyuan's sword. Right now, Yi Hua was lying on the sofa with his eyes closed, and his index finger was slowly moving, as if he was recalling something, recalling those people's terrified expressions. At the venue. Hai Daisy looked at the Xianyuan sword floating in the air and rushed over, grabbing it. The Xianyuan sword belongs to the Southern Alliance. Everyone remained silent and looked at the Xianyuan sword nervously. What had just happened was too bizarre. The Ice Bone Dragon King's explosion had injured Guang Tianlu, and Sun Yi was sitting cross-legged to detoxify the poison. There were only a few people present. However, there were a few groups of people hiding in the surroundings. They seemed to want to seize the opportunity to attack, but when they saw the situation, they seemed to calm down. Just as Hai Daisy was overjoyed, the Xianyuan sword in his right hand actually rotated 360 degrees. Ah! Hai Daishi's entire right arm was cut off by the Xian Yuan sword. This sudden scene was inconceivable. Xiao Yi was unconscious, so who was controlling the Xian Yuan sword? Itself? How could this be? The severed arm flew in the air. Yi Hua's index finger slowly moved, and Xian Yuan's sword could be seen turning into afterimages. The entire arm was sliced into powder by Xian Yuan's sword. Everyone took in a breath of cold air. Right now, I can't even catch up to the arm anymore. Quickly run. Song Huang shouted out loudly. This is a trap. Fu Xiu's speed was extremely fast, and he disappeared in an instant. Yi Hua laughed lightly, you are quite fast. With a wave of Yi Hua's finger, Xian Yuan's sword that was thousands of miles away turned into a golden afterimage and rushed straight towards Fu Xiu. Fu Xiu, who was running frantically, turned his head around to take a look, and his eyeballs almost popped out. That Xian Yuan sword actually caught up to me, and it is even at the same level as me. Furthermore, it even swung the sword's body, as if it was mocking me. How is this possible? Fu Xiu found it hard to believe. Even the experts from aristocratic families don't have a speed like mine. This ancient godly item Xian Yuan sword has such an ability? No. It is definitely being controlled by someone. Xian Yuan's sword's speed could be seen becoming even faster. When it arrived in front of Fu Xiu, it suddenly drifted. Puchi. His heart turned cold. Fu Xiu stared at the Xian Yuan sword in his stomach in a daze. He still felt like he was dreaming. Initially, Yi Futian thought that with his speed and Song Huang's protection, the Xian Yuan sword would definitely be able to pierce through Yi Futian's body. And now, the Xian Yuan sword had indeed pierced through Yi Futian's abdomen. The Xian Yuan sword dragged Fu Xiu's body back to the scene. Everyone at the scene thought that the Xian Yuan sword had run away, but they didn't expect the Xian Yuan sword to bring Fu Xiu back. Song Huang's face was filled with shock. He was well aware of Fu Xiu's speed. In terms of speed, not many people could be faster than Fu Xiu. However, such a person was actually pierced by the Xian Yuan sword and brought back. Not to mention himself and the others. Right now, everyone didn't dare to act blindly without thinking. Ling Tian, who was guarding Xiao Yi and fighting intensely with Tang Wushuang, also stopped when he saw this scene. The Xian Yuan sword tossed Fu Xiu into the air. Yi Hua's index finger lightly moved, and at the same time, Xian Yuan's sword drew out rays of golden light in the air. Fu Xiu's limbs were amputated in the air, turning into pieces that fell to the ground. It was a chilling scene. Tang Wushuang wasn't in a hurry to think. If he didn't run now, the one who would die later on would be him. Yi Hua closed his eyes and said coldly, trying to run. No one will be able to escape today. Just like Fu Xiu, Tang Wushuang's abdomen was pierced through and brought back. However, Tang Wushuang didn't die, but rather, he was thrown onto the ground. Ling Tian swallowed his saliva. I've tested Tang Wushuang's strength just now, and he's even more powerful than before. However, he was still pierced through by the Xian Yuan sword. Could it be that it's still Xiao Yi? He pretended to be sick again, but he was actually controlling the Xian Yuan sword to kill people. Act tough, King Xiao, stop pretending. I know it's you. Ling Tian shook Xiao Yi, but Xiao Yi didn't react. Everyone at the scene knew that whoever ran would die. Even Song Huang descended from the sky and stared at the Xian Yuan sword cautiously. Shua! The Xian Yuan sword disappeared again, and when it reappeared, it was followed by 20 to 30 people, all of whom had lost an arm. Song Huang furrowed his brows. These people were all the higher-ups of the northern forces. It seemed like they were all hiding at the side, observing the situation, or waiting for the right moment to snatch the treasure. Unfortunately, he was too unlucky. Right now, Xian Yuan's sword was just like a big brother, looking down at these people and fluttering back and forth along with Yi Hua's finger. Sage Doctor, what should we do now? This sword is very strange. One of the people in the group asked gravely. Song Huang shook his head and didn't say anything. Right now, Xian Yuan's sword was like a kidnapper, and I and the others were like hostages. Whether we live or die would be decided by a single thought from Xian Yuan's sword. If Xian Yuan's sword wanted to run away, Xian Yuan's sword would pierce through his heart. Although Tang Wushuang didn't die right now, he wasn't far from death. Alliance Master Hai, are you alright? Guang Tianlu asked weakly. Hai Daisy had already stopped bleeding, but his face was pale. I'm alright, how about you? Chapter 224. Are you guys going to run? The weak Sunny slowly walked over and asked. The two of them shook their heads. Running away now was the same as courting death. If they wanted to die, they could run. Yihua lied on the sofa, and his mood became a bit better. Seems like only by doing this can I make myself slightly happy and not think about those two women. Just as Yihua was preparing to deal with those people, Dong Huangli suddenly opened the door and entered the room, then shouted out sweetly, "Daddy." Yihua opened his eyes and revealed out a light smile. "Ali, what happened?" Dong Huangli could be seen running to Yihua's side, then grabbed onto Yihua's hand that was controlling Xian Yuan's sword with both of her hands. Dong Huangli began shaking Xian Yuan's sword violently, then said coquettishly, "Daddy, play with Ali." Yihua's index finger shook violently along with Dong Huangli's shaking. "Ali, Daddy is working." "Boo-hoo Papa, Ali misses you." Dong Huangli could be seen increasing the strength of Yihua's hands, and the arc of Yihua's swaying became bigger and bigger, and the speed of Yihua's swaying also became faster and faster. Right now, the Xian Yuan sword was like a drunkard, flying around in the air, making people feel numb. "Run!" Song Huang shouted out anxiously. Everyone began to run in all directions, but the range of the Xian Yuan sword's swing was getting wider and wider, and its speed was getting faster and faster. Many people were inexplicably cut in half at the waist while running, or their heads were separated from their bodies. Everyone could see that the Xian Yuan sword seemed to be out of control, so they ran even more desperately. The scene suddenly turned into purgatory, and blood flew everywhere. On the other hand, Tang Wushuang, who was lying on the ground, managed to avoid this calamity. On the other hand, Sun Fang's group of 3 were luckier. They quickly fled to the north. "Daddy Ali will bring you to eat chicken, okay? Ali will let you show off your might in front of Aunt Qing, and perhaps, Aunt Qing will forgive you." While acting coquettishly, Dong Huangli shook Yihua's arm. "I wonder how many people died when you shook them like that." "Okay, Ali will wait for Papa first. Papa will be here soon. Let's pinky swear then." Dong Huangli stretched out her pinky. Of course, Yihua would satisfy his daughter's various requests. After his daughter left, Yihua looked towards the scene, and his expression immediately sunk. The Xian Yuan sword, which was flying around randomly, also stopped moving. They actually ran away. Yihua let out a breath. After thinking for a bit, accompanying my daughter is more important. With a flick of his index finger, Xian Yuan's sword directly stabbed towards the side of Xiao Yi. Ling Tian looked at this scene dumbfoundedly and said to the unconscious Xiao Yi, "And you said you weren't acting cool. I've never seen someone so good at pretending. Hurry up and get up. They've already left. Even if you act cool, no one will applaud you." Ling Tian shouted out helplessly. Looking at the Xian Yuan sword in front of him, Ling Tian did not dare to take it. He was afraid that the situation from before would happen again. For example, Tang Wushuang, who was lying on the ground. Just a moment ago, the Xian Yuan sword had accidentally stabbed into his crotch. However, right now, Tang Wushuang's crotch was completely blood red, and his stomach was the same as well. Not long after, Xiao Yi woke up. "Big brother Xiao, you're finally awake." Ling Tian exclaimed as he supported Xiao Yi. "What's wrong?" Xiao Yi asked blankly. Ling Tian rolled his eyes. "Brother Xiao, I know you're humble, but if you continue to be so humble, you won't have any friends." Xiao Yi was confused and expressed that he really didn't know. She helped Xiao Yi to stand up. Brother Xiao, what should we do with that Tang Wushuang? Ling Tian looked towards Tang Wushuang, who was on the verge of death, and asked. Xiao Yi took a look, then said gravely, whether he lives or dies will depend on his own luck. I, Xiao Yi, don't owe him any more. Ling Tian nodded his head, then brought Xiao Yi along and wanted to go back. After the two left, a man appeared. With his brows wrinkled, he looked at his phone. F***ck, he's gone again. I'm going to cut off one of his legs when I go back. This man was precisely Gue Qingren, Tang Wushuang's master. Looking at his disciple's miserable state, Gue Qingren shook his head. This disciple is truly making me lose face. Master, save me. Tang Wushuang stretched out his bloody hand. Gue Qingren said coldly, don't touch me, I look very dirty. Master. Tang Wushuang shouted out weakly. Gue Qingren was helpless. With a wave of his hand, the two disappeared from the scene. The entire world returned back to normal, and the black clouds in the sky gradually dispersed as well. Only the bloodstains on the ground could prove that a battle had happened here. Yi Hua, who was in the bedroom, thought for a while, then decided to contact Wei Chang. I can't let them off so easily. Your Honor. Are you feeling better now? Wei Chang appeared in the bedroom and asked respectfully. Yi Hua let out a sigh. I was interrupted by Ali. Your Honor definitely didn't do it on purpose. I naturally know that, which is why I called you over. Go and deal with those people from just now. Yi Hua said faintly. Wei Chang remained silent for a moment, then said, Your Honor, subordinate has something that I don't know if I should say or not. Speak. This time, the North and the South had an agreement beforehand. If the 3 people from the South died in the North, I think it would be even better. Yi Hua was startled. I didn't expect that Wei Chang would have such a realization. Wei Chang, your recent performance is very good. If you have any requests, you can let me know. Yi Hua was very happy. It is a good thing for subordinates to have brains, especially Wei Chang. From not having a brain to having a brain, the change is really big. Wei Chang didn't dare to be greedy and said hurriedly, although Your Honor didn't say it out, in actuality, you were trying to test subordinates' adaptability. Fortunately, subordinate answered correctly. Yi Hua was startled, and his expression was a bit flabbergasted. Soon after, Yi Hua revealed out a smile. To be able to see through my true intentions, Wei Chang, you are truly becoming more and more creative. Subordinate doesn't dare to, it is all because of Your Honor's guidance. In actuality, subordinate doesn't have any requests, I just hope that Your Honor can give subordinate a raise in salary. After all, I have a girlfriend now, and my expenses are somewhat unable to keep up. Wei Chang indeed didn't have any money right now. Sometimes, he would even use Xiao Tang's money to refuel the Porsche. Yi Hua nodded his head, this is all a small matter, I will double your salary. Thank you, Your Honor. Wei Chang hurriedly kowtowed and thanked Yi Hua. Oh right, who do you intend to call to deal with those 3 people? Yi Hua asked curiously. Green and Red Brothers, they need combat experience right now, I will use them for Green and Red Brothers to train. Yi Hua said faintly, that's fine too, in the future, give them more missions to increase their combat experience, and with that, they will be able to protect Ali in the future. Yes. You can leave now. After Wei Chang left, Yi Hua rubbed onto his hair and muttered to himself, when did this Wei Chang become so smart? I, the Supreme Overlord, am not used to it. However, in the end, it was still a good thing. Yi Hua arrived at Qin Yutong's room and saw that his daughter and Yi Zizi were currently playing games, and Qin Yutong was nowhere to be seen. Daddy, Ali has already started fighting by herself, you can go back to sleep. Dong Huangli was very serious when fighting against Yi Zizi, because she was fighting against Yi Zizi. Big cousin, big sister Qin went to your office. She was called over by big sister-in-law. Yi Zizi added. Yi Hua's eyes shone. I hope that Qin Yutong's guidance will be useful. Let's go and listen to what they are talking about first. Forget it. Am I the kind of person who eavesdrops on others? If word of this got out, wouldn't people laugh their heads off? Chapter 225. In the office. Qingya's surroundings were filled with crumpled napkins. Qingya was currently wiping away her tears, looking very pitiful. Qing Yutong sat in front of her big sister and sized her up attentively. It is good that big sister is able to cry and get angry, at least it proves that big sister still cares about you. If he really didn't care, then he would be in an ordinary state. This scoundrel, I am going to freeze his card. Finished speaking, Qingya took out her phone and called the bank, freezing Yihua's card. Yihua, who was outside the door, almost rushed in. Just a moment ago, I had just agreed to give Wei Cheng a raise, and in the blink of an eye, you froze my card. How am I going to be the boss? Qingya choked with sobs and said, Woo, I want to see how he is going to eat crayfish. Yutong, your brother-in-law is too much of a bully. Big sister, this is already very good. Qing Yutong consoled, then took out a tissue and passed it to her big sister. While sobbing, Qingya asked, this is still all right? Of course. Brother-in-law wanted to take me into his harem. Didn't you come to give me condoms? Qing Yutong. I didn't call you over to talk nonsense, I called you over to think of a solution. Qingya shouted angrily and shyly. Even at this time, you are still making this kind of joke. Yihua, who was outside the door, really wanted to smack his butt. Your big sister is already angry to that extent, and you are still adding fuel to the fire. Qing Yutong could be heard saying attentively, Big sister, let's take a step back and think about it. This is brother-in-law's past romance, and there is also Ali. I'm afraid that brother-in-law doesn't know about these matters. If brother-in-law knew, he would have brought Ali back long ago. These few days, you have also seen brother-in-law's attitude towards Ali. This means that brother-in-law indeed doesn't know about it. Qing Yutong was also judging the matter as it was, and was impartial. Yihua, who was standing at the doorway, silently nodded his head. There is no problem with Yutong's explanation. But that woman is really beautiful. Brother-in-law is tempted. Qing Yutong's following words caused Yihua's expression to darken. What do you mean by not being moved? She is already my woman, is there still a need for me to be moved? All he had to do was take action. Hearing that, Qingya's tears became bigger. Your brother-in-law is a playboy. I didn't know it before, but now I see through him. Sis, which man isn't fickle? Those who aren't fickle are all gay. Qing Yutong. Your sister, have been cheated, and you're still smiling. Qing Yutong laughed bitterly. Big sister, you said that brother-in-law lied to you, but just what did he lie to you about? In any case, he is lying. If not for the fact that Qingya was pregnant, Yihua would have really wanted to smack her butt and forcefully accuse her of something. Did brother-in-law lie to you to go to bed with him, or did he lie to you to do that? Qing Yutong's eyebrows twitched, and said, you know what I mean. Qing Yutong, get out. Big sister, think back to those days when you two were on your honeymoon, that scene of you two kissing passionately in front of me and Yizizi, and that fragrant tongue of yours had even reached into brother-in-law's mouth. TSK. Just looking at it made my entire body go numb. Scram. Qingya's face flushed red, then picked up the pillow and threw it towards Qing Yutong. Qing Yutong let out a breath, then persuaded, actually, I feel that brother-in-law is really very good, and he is also very attentive towards big sister. Other than him liking to act cool, drinking and smoking, he doesn't seem to have any bad habits. Isn't that a bad habit? All that's left is the yellow gambling. Brother-in-law doesn't like that kind of thing, he likes big sister's kind of thing. Qing Yutong teased. Get out, I don't want to listen to your crooked reasoning, your brother-in-law definitely gave you benefits. Qing Yutong placed both of her hands on her waist. Big sister, you can insult my person, but you can't insult my character. I, Qing Yutong, in any case, was born as a young pioneer, I will reject all bribes. Last night, I even spat at brother-in-law and asked him to divorce you. Ah. Chinya could be heard crying out in surprise, then immediately felt that her reaction was too big, so she immediately turned her face away. Qin Yutong had a look of disdain on her face. Even someone like you can still get angry, just talking about divorce, you are already so nervous. Didn't you see brother-in-law's expression at that time? It was as if his wife had died. Qin Yutong, who are you cursing to die? Big sister, I am just making an analogy, I might as well act it out for you. Qin Yutong coughed lightly and put on Yihua's expression. Suddenly, Qin Yutong's expression collapsed, then said pleadingly, Yutong, quickly go and beg your big sister for me, I can't live without her. If your big sister were to leave, don't even think about living anymore. Yihua took a deep breath. If I mess up with Qin Yutong, then I will really teach you a lesson. Furthermore, would I, the supreme overlord, go and beg a woman like this? What a joke. Yutong, your acting is a bit exaggerated. Yihua wouldn't say something like this at all. Qinya could be said to understand Yihua, he is a person who cares about his face no matter what. Don't mind those details, brother-in-law talked with me for an hour last night, don't even mention how miserable he was. Thinking back to last night, brother-in-law even killed a few people, and in the end, under Yizizi's lead, brother-in-law won the chicken dinner. Alright, I don't want to listen anymore, you can go out. Qinya felt that she couldn't continue listening, the more she listened, the softer her heart became. I have to be a bit firmer. Right. I have to be firm in my conviction. Qin Yutong felt that it was about time. Looking at big sister, she doesn't seem to be the kind that wants to die, she is just jealous, that's all. Yihua immediately spread out and pretended to go upstairs. After closing the door, Qin Yutong laughed tenderly, brother-in-law, stop pretending, you heard everything, right? This sister-in-law sure doesn't give me any face. What's the situation with your big sister? Yihua asked gravely. Qin Yutong's eyebrows twitched, and she had a look that said, you understand, on her face. We are going to eat meat tonight, I won't leave you out. Yihua said petulantly. Hee thank you, brother-in-law, in actuality, my big sister is just jealous, there isn't any big problem. Brother-in-law, if you leave her out for half a month, I guarantee that big sister will run over to reconcile with you. Qin Yutong said very casually, having a look as if she had been through this before. Yihua felt that this won't do, Qinya is serious this time. Qinya could be heard adding a sentence, brother-in-law, sometimes, when it's time to be hard, you should be hard. What do you mean? My big sister is just an ordinary person, you tell me how I should be hard. Qin Yutong rolled her eyes at Yihua. You don't even understand this. Yihua immediately understood what Qin Yutong meant and said gravely, get hard. Brother-in-law, do your best, get hard a few more times, big sister will naturally be convinced. Yutong, after this crisis is over, tell brother-in-law what you want. Yihua was very generous, as long as I am able to make Qinya change her mind, I am willing to give you Thanos. Qin Yutong pouted her mouth, brother-in-law, you are penniless right now, you better take care of yourself first, I don't have any money. After finished speaking, Qin Yutong slipped away. Yihua let out a light breath. After coaxing Qinya, I will naturally have money. How can I let this little rich woman slip away so easily? Now is the time for me to be hard. Yihua pushed open the office door. Yutong, I don't want to talk to you right now. Qinya said. It's me. Qinya could be seen taking a look at Yihua, then immediately lied down and turned her back towards Yihua. What are you doing here? Get out. Qinya shouted coldly. Yihua walked to the front of the sofa and said faintly, Qinya, I will give you 1 second to change your mind, if not, don't blame me for using hard methods. Yihua. Don't think that I, Qinya, am afraid of you. Are you getting up or not? Go and die. Chapter 226. Yihua could be seen hugging onto Qinya, and Qinya cried out in surprise, Yihua. What are you doing? We are quarreling, you can't do this to me. So what? I will do whatever I want to do. Yihua shouted out gravely, while Qinya was punching and kicking Yihua. Don't move. Be careful of the child. Yihua shouted out coldly. In actuality, even if Qinya were to kill Yihua, nothing would happen to the child. The power of bloodline was not something that could be aborted so easily. Qinya's face was as cold as ice as she said coldly, Yihua. Please respect me. Then have you ever respected me? Don't tell me that I don't treat you well. Yihua questioned. This woman is just an unreasonable woman, how big of a deal is this? I, the Supreme Overlord, already have so many wives, and if I, the Supreme Overlord, have one more wife, I will die. Qinya seemed to be unable to refute this question, and said, in any case, you are a swindler, deceiving my feelings. I don't want you to hug me, put me down. Come down? That's impossible. Don't you realize that you're stinking? I haven't showered for almost a day. Qinya wrinkled her eyebrows. It seems that I haven't taken a bath for almost a day. In actuality, Qinya's body was still very fragrant, and Yihua said that intentionally. Carrying Qinya to the bedroom, he threw her into the bathroom and said, wash it properly, it's so smelly. After saying that, he closed the door, and the sound of smashing could be heard from inside. If it's broken, call someone to fix it yourself. Yihua shouted out, then laid on the bed and waited. It has been almost a day since I hugged this woman, and I miss her a lot. As soon as he said this, the smashing inside became even fiercer. A trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth. I, the Supreme Overlord, like this kind of woman. Hugging a woman like this is much more comfortable. Half an hour later, Qinya walked out of the room, took a look at Yihua, then prepared to directly run out of the room. Yihua laughed. Qinya, you are still too childish. Don't you understand what I am thinking? Qinya naturally understood. Isn't she preparing to run away now? Just that, before she could even reach the door, her body floated up and floated towards Yihua's embrace. Yihua! You can't be this shameless. Qinya, who was floating in the sky, shouted out. I am a cultivator, what can you do to me? Qinya almost exploded from anger as she said indignantly, if you dare to touch me, I will. I will. Yihua caught onto Qinya and hugged her tightly into his embrace, then asked curiously, what are you planning to do? I'll bite you to death. After finished speaking, it really bit towards Yihua's arm. Yihua laughed bitterly. Last time, he was threatened by Qin Yutong and had his skin cut open by a knife, and now, he was bitten by Qinya. The pain that I am feeling right now is all caused by these two women. This is truly depressing. Qinya bit down very fiercely, and when the taste of blood came out from her mouth, she woke up. When she opened her mouth to take a look, a row of teeth marks could be seen, and the skin was bitten through. Are you happy now? Taking this rare opportunity, Yihua questioned coldly. Qinya didn't dare to look straight at him and said indignantly, let go of me. Otherwise, I'll bite again. Then bite it. It's best if you can break it. You! How did you become a scoundrel? Qinya tried to struggle free from Yihua's embrace, but unfortunately, she did not have enough strength. Yihua didn't say anything and hugged Donghuang Baiji tightly. This is so comfortable. I wonder how Donghuang Baiji will feel when hugging me. It's a pity that if she wants to get on my bed, she still needs to practice a lot more. After a long while, Qinya asked coldly, aren't you a cultivator? You can't even heal this little bit of injury? Yihua replied faintly, why would I need to heal it? I'm just waiting for the wound to get infected, then I'll amputate it. When the child grows up and asks me, I'll tell him that it was your mother who broke it. Qinya looked at Yihua in disbelief. Shameless. After another 10 minutes passed, Qinya saw that the wound was still bleeding, and she was very worried. What if the wound really gets infected and I have to amputate it? This is a scoundrel, to use self-torture to threaten me. Let go of me. Chinya shouted out coldly. Not letting go. I'll go get the medicine box and help you bandage your wound, lest you become a one-armed hero. Chinya said angrily. You have a woman and a child outside, and you still want me to comfort you? Yi Hua was delighted. Seems like what I said on the internet is somewhat effective. Yi Hua let go of Chinya. Chinya took out the medicine box, then placed it on the bed, then carefully disinfected and bandaged the wound. Looking at Chinya's serious look, Yi Hua said lightly, not angry anymore? Do you think that's possible? Chinya said coldly. Yi Hua retracted his hand, then don't bandage my wound anymore, let me become a one-armed hero. When the child is born, I'll tell him about it. You. Why are you acting like a child? Chinya said angrily. You even want to snitch on a child, have you never seen it before? None of your business. Yi Hua snorted coldly. Give me your hand. Yi Hua said, not taking it. Are you taking it or not? Chinya, we are quarreling right now, stand properly at your position. Yi Hua said faintly. His current appearance was really asking for a beating. Meanwhile, Chinya was indeed quite angered. I helped you out of goodwill, and yet you still say such words, you are bullying me too much. Go and die then. Chinya snorted, then turned her face away and ignored Yi Hua, but she didn't get off the bed. After a long while, Yi Hua took a glance at Chinya and said faintly, Chinya, let's reconcile, stop quarreling. We are quarreling. Please stand properly at your position. Alright, the Supreme Overlord was counterattacked by his wife again. Yi Hua's head is really aching. I might as well just beat her up and let her know how powerful I am, but I am reluctant to. I am so conflicted. It's swollen. Yi Hua could be heard crying out in surprise. Chinya immediately turned her head around and looked at the wound, and it was indeed swollen. Why are you so troublesome? Chinya said angrily as she took out the medicine to disinfect the wound. A trace of a sneaky smile appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. Making the skin swell is just a small matter, I am still able to control it. And you still dare to say that you don't care about me, why are you so nervous? This woman is just saying one thing but thinking the other. What Yutong said is completely correct. Tonight, I will be able to hug her to sleep again, comfortable now. Little Ali is also going to be with me. Life is actually so perfect, I am going to extend my vacation this time. Eat some anti-inflammatory medicine. Chinya took out 2 amoxicillin. Water. You really are a big uncle. Although Chinya said that, she still went to pour water for Yi Hua. Looking at Chinya's back view, Yi Hua mumbled, Chinya, I really don't know what my life would be like without you. Chinya, who was pouring water for Yi Hua, paused for a moment, then said faintly, without me, you would still be able to live your life as usual, and there would still be Dongwang Baiji to take care of you. But I just like you. Yi Hua. Let me tell you, it is already too late for you to say words of love to me now. I will not listen to you. Yi Hua placed the cup on the bedside table heavily, and the water splashed out. The internet is all lies. I don't believe it anymore. Yi Hua has a temper, I have never lowered myself before. Just now, I already said so much, yet you still don't want to give me face. Chinya. Let me tell you, you are going to fall into my hands for the rest of your life. Even if I have to tie you up, I will still tie you up with me. Yi Hua. You bastard. Chapter 227. Chinya immediately jumped onto the bed and sat on Yi Hua's body, then picked up a pillow and started smashing it. Meanwhile, Yi Hua turned over and pressed Chinya down, then shouted out coldly, you dare to hit me. So what if I hit you? Right at this moment, the door was pushed open, and when Dong Huangli saw the scene inside, she cried out in surprise, Daddy, you have reconciled with Aunt Qing, this is great. Chinya used all her strength to push Yi Hua away. Yi Hua didn't want to hurt Chinya, so he didn't use any strength. He got up and carried his daughter. "Ali, your Aunt Qing came over to admit her mistake." Qingya was very angry, but she didn't say anything. After all, it wasn't good to do so in front of a child. "Daddy is so handsome," Dong Huangli gave a thumbs up. Nothing is better than being able to correct one's mistakes. "Do you remember that, Ali?" Dong Huangli nodded her head, then said, "Daddy, Ali is tired from playing, I want to sleep now. Can you let Aunt Qing accompany Ali to sleep?" Aunt Qing didn't sleep well last night either. Yihua knew that Qingya wouldn't reject Ali. After all, now that the two of them were familiar with each other, he would be able to relax a bit. Dong Huangli blinked her big eyes. "Qingya, take good care of Ali." After placing his daughter on the bed, Yihua said faintly. Qingya's emotions were actually very complicated. Firstly, she liked how obedient and sensible Ali was, and secondly, Ali was Yihua's child with another woman. It would be a lie to say that Yihua didn't have any enmity towards that woman. However, after hearing what that woman said, she was actually quite pitiful. She came to find Yihua while pregnant, but Yihua ignored her, and she even gave birth to the child and raised the child by himself. If it wasn't for Ali running away from home this time and coming here because of the game, Yihua probably wouldn't even know that he had a child outside. Both of them were pitiful women. However, Ali was angered by Yihua's lies and that arrogant look on his face. He clearly did something wrong, yet he didn't repent at all, and even said that it was someone else's fault. Even if you are a cultivator, you can't be so rude and unreasonable. "I am your wife, not your mistress." Yihua closed the door and told them to get along with each other, while he went downstairs to teach Dong Huangbaiji a lesson. "I have to teach these women a lesson and let them know how to be a qualified wife. Especially this Dong Huangbaiji. To be precise, this is the second time I've met her, and my daughter is already almost 3 years old. I really didn't expect this." Coming downstairs, Yihua saw that Dong Huangbaiji was currently sitting on the broken bar counter and drinking wine. Dong Huangbaiji's gaze was currently blurred. Without the support of spiritual energy, Dong Huangbaiji was just like an ordinary person. Thus, it was only natural that she would get drunk very quickly. Looking at Dong Huangbaiji's current state, Yihua let out a sigh. If I had come down back then, I reckon that Qingya wouldn't have gotten involved in this. It's fortunate that I didn't come down, if not, I wouldn't have been able to come across Qingya. It was just that he owed her. Yihua walked over and sat beside Dong Huangbaiji, then poured himself a cup of wine. Just like that, the two of them drank one cup after another without saying a word. "Does your butt still hurt?" In the end, Yihua couldn't help but ask. Dong Huangbaiji had won this battle of silence. When had Dong Huangbaiji ever been spanked before? Dong Huangbaiji sneered, "Didn't you have a good time spanking me? If you didn't make me angry, why would I hit you?" Yihua said calmly. If it was another man, he would definitely beg and apologize to Dong Huangbaiji. This way, Dong Huangbaiji's heart would soften, and perhaps, Dong Huangbaiji might even reconcile with Dong Huangbaiji. After all, when Dong Huangbaiji came to Voidless Realm, she had already thought about it. If Yihua apologized sincerely, for the sake of her daughter's future, Dong Huangbaiji planned to bring Yihua to Voidless Realm. In the end, I didn't expect that Yihua wasn't an ordinary person and was even more formidable than me. From what Dong Huangbaiji had said, it could be seen that Dong Huangbaiji was still willing to bear some of the rumors and slanders. As an empress, marrying an ordinary man was a joke in and of itself. However, for the sake of her daughter, Dong Huangbaiji was still firm in her decision. Of course, this was what he thought before he came. From this, it could be seen just how important Dong Huangli was in Dong Huangbaiji's heart. Dong Huangli's feelings towards Yihua were very vague. Dong Huangli bore grudges against Dong Huangbaiji for 3 years, worried about Dong Huangli for 3 years, and thought about Dong Huangli for 3 years. Every time she saw her daughter, she would think of Yihua. Yihua's figure had long since taken root in Dong Huangbaiji's heart. When Dong Huangbaiji heard that Yihua had gotten married, Dong Wang Baiji became angry and decided to make Yihua a cuckold to take revenge on him. Unfortunately, he was caught before he could take his revenge. Why didn't you come down during those few days? Dong Wang Baiji held on to her chin and asked. Why is this woman always tangling with this question? Is there any meaning to it? It has already been so long. Perhaps, to Yihua, this question might not be important. However, to Dong Wang Baiji, this was a question that she had to decide whether to forgive or not. Yihua became silent. What should I say? I was in a bad mood during those few days because Lai Gu bit off the internet cable while dreaming, causing me to not be able to watch Calabash Brothers. This is all Lai Gu's fault. If Lai Gu wasn't dreaming, he wouldn't have bitten off the internet cable. If Lai Gu didn't bite off the internet cable, my mood might have been pretty good. Perhaps I would have come down and lived with Chinya. Thinking about it, Lai Gu's bite on the internet cable was pretty good. After pondering for a while, Yihua said faintly, it wasn't convenient for me during those few days. Hearing Yihua's explanation, Dong Wang Baiji laughed at herself. It wasn't convenient for you. Did your aunt come? Aunt? I don't have any relatives. Yihua still didn't understand the meaning of aunt, and he was still thinking about the relationship between being inconvenient and aunt. Dong Wang Baiji laughed. If you don't even understand this, how can you be a man? What is she talking about? This woman can't be drunk, right? If you still insist on what happened 3 years ago, I will slowly make it up to you in the future. As a man, I still have to put an end to the things that happened 3 years ago and do what I have to do. After all, only when my family is in harmony will I be able to show off my abilities in the outside world. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the mood to bother about those trivial things anymore. Make it up to me? How do you want to make it up to me? Do you want to piece my shattered heart back together? Dong Wang Baiji lied on the bar counter and laughed while resting her head on her arms, looking like she was very drunk. Letting out a breath, Yihua took a sip of wine and said faintly, you can make it up to me however you want. Hee, I don't need it, I only want Ali. We are living very well, there is no need for you to come in. Bang! The wine glass in Yihua's hand was crushed into pieces. This woman sure is thick-headed. What? You want to hit me again? Go ahead and hit me, it would be best if you hit me to death. This way, no one will disturb you anymore. Hearing what Chinya said, Yihua immediately became angry. Back then, even Chinya didn't do this to me. At most, she would only threaten me and say things like perishing together with me. Why do these women always like to use death to threaten me? If you aren't my woman, I wouldn't care whether you live or die. Yihua stood up and said coldly, don't worry, I won't hit you. But, you can forget about leaving this bar in your entire life. After finished speaking, Yihua turned around and went upstairs. Chapter 228. The wine bottle smashed onto the air wall and fell onto the ground. Dong Wang Baiji lied on the bar counter and cried bitterly, just like a child. Even 3 years ago, Dong Wang Baiji had never cried like this before. Hearing the crying sound that was coming from downstairs, Yihua let out a heavy sigh. I really don't know what I should do. Please help me, I, the Supreme Overlord, am waiting for you. It's very urgent. Inside Wei Chang's rented room, currently, he was drinking the wolfberry ginseng tea that Tang Wei brewed. He felt that his entire body had been warm for the past few days, as if he was going to explode. Moreover, the more he put in the wolfberries, the more he had to drink. He had to drink several cups a day. In Tang Wei's words, this tea was good for the body and could even cure illnesses. Wei Chang was puzzled. He wasn't sick, so why did he need to be treated? But looking at Tang Wei's concerned expression, it seemed as if he had contracted an incurable disease. You too, come over here. I have a mission for you. Wei Chang shouted at the Green and Red brothers. At this time, the Green and Red brothers were also drinking wolfberry tea. This was because all the boiled water in this house had wolfberry in it. They really didn't understand why those old uncles in the village drank it like this. Looking at Wei Chang's age, and then thinking about Tang Wei's age, Wei Chang immediately understood. When one reached middle age, they had no choice. All men understood. The two of them walked over with a smile on their faces. Uncle Wei said that there was a mission. Could it be that the boss was chased out of the house? Or was he going to do some cleaning? Or should he go downstairs to buy groceries? Currently, the Green and Red brothers had already changed their hairstyles. Their hairstyles were 50-50, and they were parted in the middle. It seemed like he had recognized someone as his boss. It had to be said that the Green and Red brothers had become a lot more refreshing after changing to the 50-50 development style. However, their hair was still relatively long. It had already reached their chins. Not to mention that it looked a little artistic. Of course, the color was still the same. He was also wearing a trench coat, which matched with his hair color. He was simply awesome. Wherever he went, he was a beautiful scenery. He could even be a traffic light. Uncle Wei, are we going to buy groceries? I think we should buy some vegetables. Big Brother Green was also a bit irritable. Uncle Wei, I don't have a girlfriend, unlike you, Uncle Wei. Little Brother Red nodded his head earnestly. Uncle Wei, eating these vegetables is really good. It can help to lower one's body temperature. Wei Chang felt that what the two said made sense. That's true. Let's buy some vegetables tonight. Alright, we will definitely complete the mission. The Green and Red brothers stood up and stretched out their hands. I want money. Cough. The mission I'm talking about isn't asking you to go buy vegetables, but to go buy vegetables after you finish the mission. Wei Chang added. He was almost misled by them. Big Brother Green instantly clapped his hands. I knew that Uncle Wei wouldn't give us this kind of mission. No matter what, we're already people in the same circle. We're definitely going to punish evil and promote good. Big Bro, I think we're going to be famous. Look at our outfits. When the reporters come to interview us, we should look presentable. Little brother, don't worry. Our traffic light combination will definitely explode in popularity. Cheers. Cheers. Wei Chang said indifferently, go kill 3 people. Puff. Puff. The Green and Red brothers spat at each other, then they slowly turned their heads around and asked curiously, Uncle Wei, are you sure you're not going to save 3 people? You guys need to practice your killing skills more. It just so happens that 3 people offended the boss today. Go and deal with them. When the time comes, put the corpses in a conspicuous place. The Green and Red brothers swallowed their saliva forcefully. Why did they suddenly jump from buying groceries to killing someone? They really couldn't get used to it. There had to be a transition period, right? Like beating someone up first. Then, he was beaten to a cripple, then his arms and legs were dislocated. There was no such process at all. You guys aren't afraid, right? Didn't you guys say that you guys have quite a few lives in your hands last night in the village? You guys didn't even blink when you guys attacked viciously? Wei Chang asked curiously. What the heck, which man doesn't brag? Furthermore, when I killed the chicken, I indeed attacked viciously. I already have over 100 lives in my hands. Big Brother Green tightly wrinkled his brows and said hesitantly, Uncle Wei, you can be at ease. Offending the boss means offending little Ali, that means offending us brothers. I guarantee that we will complete the mission. Not bad, the boss will definitely appreciate your thoughts. I will give you guys 5 minutes to prepare, we will set off after 5 minutes. The Green and Red brothers turned around, and their expressions immediately collapsed. Walking to the side, they whispered to each other. Big Bro, what should we do? What else can we do? Take out our weapons and fight? But I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? We are originally wanted criminals. Later on, it will be perfectly justifiable for us to be wanted criminals. Little Brother Red covered onto his face. Why do I feel that life is becoming more and more exciting? If we follow the boss, we will definitely become famous in the future. That's right. Not only will we become famous, we will also set things on fire. 5 minutes later, the two finished preparing and stood neatly in front of Wei Chong, waiting for further instructions from Wei Chong. Wei Chong picked up the thermos, then waved his hand, and a black whirlpool appeared in the living room. You guys, follow me. The green and red brothers took a deep breath, then followed Wei Chong and stepped into the black whirlpool. Big bro, we aren't going to fight across planets, right? I'm not afraid of fighting across planets, but I'm afraid of fighting across galaxies. Walking into the whirlpool, taking a look at the blue sky and white clouds, little brother Red pointed at an eagle and shouted, Big bro, quickly look, even the eagle is flying so low. Feeling that something was wrong, Big brother Green slowly lowered his head, and cold sweat was already dripping out of his body. Little brother Red followed his big bro's gaze and looked over. The two froze. They were actually standing at a height of a few thousand meters. Wei Chong looked towards the north and said casually, You guys wait here. Uncle Wei, what about our target? The green and red brothers held onto each other's hands and asked. The 3 people that are coming over later will be our target. After finished speaking, Uncle Wei opened the thermos and drank a mouthful of wolfberry tea, then walked into the black whirlpool and disappeared. The green and red brothers remained silent for a moment, and their nervous expression gradually became excited. Big bro. We can fly now. That's right, we have become birds. Big brother Green let out a sigh. A few days ago, I was still starving on the road, and today, I became a Superman, the kind of Superman that kills people. Indeed, looking from the ground, there was a green and a red big bird in the sky. Just as the two brothers were getting excited, 3 black dots flew towards them at high speed. They were precisely Sun Yi and the others who were running for their lives. Big bro. They are here. Little brother Red suddenly became nervous. I saw them, I am not blind. Big brother Green was very nervous too. It is fine for me to go and scare people, but to kill people, I am not mentally prepared at all. Looking at the figures getting closer and closer, little brother Red suddenly asked, Big bro, in the wuxia movies, everyone has to hold on to their own name. How are we going to report to them? Watch me later. Big brother Green had already thought of what to do. Little brother Red became relieved. Big bro is indeed smart and quick-witted. When Sun Yi and the others saw the green and red brothers that were not far away from them, they were very puzzled. Alliance Master Hai, are they your people? Guang Tianlu asked. After all, the way those two dressed up was very strange, and they seemed to be people from the Esper world. Hai Dicey shook his head. Although we, the people from the Esper world, are all hidden within the cities, we still have our own identities. Why would we dress up like that? You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.